But yeah, as we were talking about, you were in HR. You must have seen, the impact of moon is very prominent. I've seen with people in HR.
Yes.
And similarly, the impact of moon is very prominent in people with astrology as well. Even though none of the, YouTube astrologers mention, you
See,
will
that
not
is
see
that is
YouTube astrologers
public
mention the
dealing
impact of
segment where you
moon.
are
You will not,
managing human resource.
yes, yes. And astrologers need to do that, right? It becomes very important because what is astrology if you are not talking to a judgment, right? So what's the point of having astrology if you're not talking to
True,
them? So
true,
that is
true.
one thing which we all forget. Okay, arey, where is the moon? Is it it has to be somewhere prominent to be able to convey, to be able to bring it out to
Connect
people in
with
front of people.
people
So that is great.
also,
But yeah,
working with people. Good moon
hmm,
is required because
yes.
there you have to understand the emotional quotient of people in order to connect with them.
Yes, and look at you now. Look at you now doing this thing in, shifting out of office, but still in podcast, you're connecting, you are, keeping it public. So you have not
Uh,
left that behind,
yeah, somewhere like
right?
I'm
There's
using
a
those
shift,
skills. Yeah,
transformed. Yes, you've
true.
evolved or maybe transformed into this. And yeah, astrology comes when you are talking, like families constantly about this. Your grandparents, your mother, father, they're all talking about astrology. The planets are like, common people. Like we're talking about family members, we're talking about planets. कि अरे वो आया नहीं आया अरे अच्छा शनि किधर से चल रही है चंद्र चल रहा है ये चल रहा है just like they're
True.
talking about humans. So that gets imbibed in us, and then we take that journey. Okay, okay, let's officially learn it. But how has your journey been in astrology? Like when you learned it, how has that been?
I think I'm still
Was it easy?
struggling.
First of all,
No, definitely
first question, because you
it
were
was
asking
not
me,
easy.
you,
Not at all. And I still find it
and were you able
difficult.
to find a teacher? Were you able to find a
Yes,
teacher?
I got the
Uh-huh.
teacher, and I'll say the purpose of connecting to you was what like when I saw your this reel over Instagram, I was like very fascinated. I mean, this guy is doing
Hmm.
wonderful work. He is making astrology so easy to understand for
Thank you.
people who do not know from where to start, how to exactly look at the things from what
Yeah.
perspective, and that gives a different
Yeah.
eye. I must
Thank
say,
you.
like your Venus must be prominent because that kind of looking towards thing and that perspective comes from Venus. A good Venus should be there. So
This is
uh
this was my major question. For me, finding a teacher in astrology was and still is the biggest struggle, right? I cannot take my astrological questions to people because usually I have never been able to find an answer. So all the questions that I will take, I will like, okay, if I would have Googled it, I would have gotten the same answer that you're telling me. What new are you telling me? That is the point where I was like, okay, how are people, getting the knowledge of astrology? And that's why I asked you, okay, was the journey easy or difficult? And did you find a teacher who could actually answer all your curiosities? Okay, I have this, I have that. Tell me this, tell me that. So that is what was the more, and still it is. I still don't think that I have found like one teacher. Teacher, I understand there are multiple people who can give you different informations, right? Someone would tell you something, someone would tell you some other thing. That's perfect. But yeah, finding single teacher. But you've been lucky there. You found a teacher, and you
yes,
had people in family as
I
well.
initially started by teacher only. So it
Hmm.
was not book which helped me in the first step.
Ah,
So
okay,
I got the chance to interact with Dipankar Day. So that
okay.
classes we used to take those classes over Skype. I've never seen his face,
Hmm.
but then he was wonderful
Okay.
teacher. So I don't know what
Yeah, that is good.
what combinations were there in his chart, but one thing
Hmm.
is sure that he explained the rashis in so detailed manner because only rashis still rashis I was
Hmm.
able to understand, and looking to the combinations we haven't reached by that time. But then I really wanted to know if somebody is initiating into astrology in the beginning, what is going to be the right approach according to you? Because as you have mentioned that you're still struggling to find a teacher. For people who are not able to find the teacher, how they can start into astrology?
This is one thing. Yeah, finding a teacher was one of the I think, the privilege that I did not get. So I had to, I started way early on. I actually was, started from learning basic astrology on YouTube or online. Okay, okay,
Hmm.
where can you find the resources? And I think unwillingly or willingly, my teacher does not even know that he's my teacher. There's
Okay.
Alok Nath. There's a teacher, Alok Nath sir. He's the astrologer in, I think, Sri Ravi Shankar's clan, right?
Okay.
And he makes videos, right? And he was giving some details on planets and some details on rashis and some details on houses. I think these were the three topics that he laid out, and they were like 5 minute videos. He'll talk about first house 5 minutes, second house 5 minutes, like all of that, and that's all. And I think I still consider him as my teacher. I follow him. He's the one astrologer I actually follow. Uh, so okay, still, if he's saying something, I will still listen to it because he does not know that he's my teacher, but I know that he's
Hmm.
my teacher in some way. And then from there on, I completely shifted to books. I was like, okay, I don't need anyone. I have one. Even if he does not know, I have one. If I need anything, I will maybe look into his videos, or maybe I'll try to reach out. I have never even talked to him. I've never texted him.
So you're
Nothing, no
eklavya
contact.
for him.
Kind of. He does not have any idea that I exist, that
Hmm.
I have started my astrology journey from his videos. And then I obviously deviated into books completely because then after that, when I try to research online or on videos, there is so much noise. There is so much people reinterpreting the same thing and totally, morphing or distorting what actually. And then I was like, okay, need to get into books. Just stay there. That is where the astrology came from. Let's just stay in that realm and learn from there. And I think that helped. And that is what I tried to put on my Instagram. Completely, it has to come out from book. So if anyone asks me or anyone tells me, okay, this is the thing that we see, like, this is the yoga, I will like just quote me the book and the shlok. And I've become that snob somehow. Okay, I'm like, okay, quote me the book and the shlok and I'll believe you, otherwise I'm not believing you. And that's what happened with my journey when people come, okay, which book. So I am able to quote the book and the shlok. Okay, okay, this is from this book, this shlok makes sense. You can interpret however you want, but it has to have some origin, and that's what I have started putting on Instagram, and that's what people start liking. They were like, okay, we now at least know that where astrology is coming from, because
Hey,
people, general public,
that's true.
don't
Like
know that there are books
reference
of
should be there,
astrology.
right? Reference should be there. One should know from which
Yeah.
reference you
So
are going
when
to teach or you are studying.
yes, yeah, because when I was learning astrology, I did not even know that books existed for astrology. It's like a shastra in itself. They're been written. I was like, okay, people just know astrology, and astrologers teach astrologers. That is what I had an impression about astrology.
Astrologer teach
Later on, when I
astrologers.
okay, there are
Okay.
astrologers, right? So they just like it's a clan. They just talk about themselves, and they accept a new one, and they're okay, we'll teach you. And then
Hmm.
they become astrologers, and then they become a part of this group. So it was like that. And then I realized, no, it's not just that. There are books, there are resources, and normal people don't know about it. Normal people have no idea that these are, the defined set books for astrology, which lay out the framework. And when I started presenting, people are now very well, my audience on Instagram is very well aware of the books, from which book, what kind of information you can get. Now BPHS has become like a thing. Everyone, like many of my followers, like we've bought BPHS. We start reading it. We've
So,
bought it. We're
according
like,
to you,
yeah.
Devishit, which book one should start with? The first book.
So I can tell you which one worked for me, right? It's by Devkinandan Singh, Jyotish Ratnakar. I swear by that book. It is, it's really thick, right? I have moved, so I don't have that book here with me right now because I've just moved, but it is like a really thick book. Uh, this book is why it is so great is because it touches on everything at least once. Even if it's explaining or not, but it will touch the subject. It will touch the nakshatra, the rashis, the grahas, the everything. It will at least talk about once,
Hmm.
and even the contrasting arguments as well, right? So it will talk about that okay, the Hora is like just Surya or Chandra or all the Rashis. So it will at least talk about it. Ki nowadays we just use Surya and Chandra. Earlier all the Rashis were used in Hora. So all of that. So that is why I say if you're starting, you have to have that book. When you feel stuck, that you're not able to find anything, just go back, refer to that book. You'll get some starting point. That's what happened when I was researching on Navmanch, right?
Okay.
You don't find a lot of information on Navmanch, and it's all
True.
that everything about Navmanch is completely one astrologer told another one, and another one told the third one, and then the all the mixed up information you have about Navmanch. And then I was like really frustrated. I was like, okay, where should I like learn from? And it went on for like almost for weeks. And then in that book only, uh, Jyotish Ratnakar, there's a chart, a huge page that opens up, and there is the information of Navmanch. And I was like, okay, I'm thankful to that book that I had it. And I just opened it, and then my book is very old, it's second hand. I got it. And it's like it's
Okay.
almost torn. That page flew out. And I opened it, I was like, okay, here's the information.
That's lovely. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. How you initiated into astrology, Jyotish Ratnakar, and that to starting with the Jyotish Ratnakar. I mean, that's the big book. Initially, like when people look
That's
at the
yeah.
book and then they feel scared. I mean, इतनी मोटी
Yes,
किताब है कैसे पढ़ेंगे?
exactly, exactly. But पता है क्या मेरे लिए
Right.
the best part is कि I love reading,
Hmm.
right? I am into reading that I would rather pass my time by reading than something else. So इसलिए I was like okay मोटी book है it's some so एकदम वो वाला भी impact होता है कि okay if I can post about it कि अरे I read this मोटी book I'll put it on Instagram it will be like okay this person is intelligent so this also gives a little bit of motivation. So I deliberately pick up books which are like 500, 600, 700 pages. And I'm like, okay,
Okay.
I'll go through this. It's like a challenge for me that I enjoy. Okay,
Hmm.
rather than watching a huge, like a long movie, I was like, okay, I'll read a. So I am right now on. I'm trying to like maybe sometimes fiction, non-fiction. Okay, okay, I'm reading a 700-page book series. The three
Okay.
books all the. I'm like, okay, this is a challenge that I can post about it. So
That
that's why
that's
I think picking a book is something which comes naturally to me, I think. That's
In fact,
a
like that's how Ojas Astro started. I initially started reading books on my channel, and I read
that
book a
is
lot.
great. That is actually I can see behind you. When I came here, I saw okay, you have a good collection behind you. That's people you won't find people having this big collection anymore. This is a good collection that you have. You have made a nice shelf
And
about
I
it. These are
still
all
feel that
astrology
I
books?
am sorry.
These are all astrology books or
Yes.
nice, nice. That's a
I
really good
I
collection.
I still feel that I am not having enough books.
Same, same. Can you
So,
believe when I landed first in Hyderabad, the first thing we did was buy books here.
and in fact,
That
like when I moved here in Dehradun, so usually what people take with them, like when they're moving to new city, like
hmm.
clothes and the
That yes,
necessity wala cheeze. And in my big bag there were a lot of books, around
yeah.
30 40 books were there. And the
That's
guy just in a bag उठाई, he said क्या आप इसमें लाश भर के लेके जा रहे हैं?"
they get heavy. They do get heavy. I know. You cannot pick up the 30, 40 books
True,
easily.
true.
That he was correct. That guy was
So
correct.
like after Jyotish Ratnakar division, I
Hmm.
mean, that's good. You started with that. When it comes to comparing the
Hmm.
information provided
Hmm.
into different books,
Hmm.
how you proceed into that? I mean, obviously, there are rishis who contradict
Hmm.
each other.
Yes, there are. I don't know why were they fighting about it, but there are. The
They
thing is,
contradict each other in some.
yes.
I mean, I was reading just Fal Deepika yesterday.
Hmm.
So what I read there, that cat comes under the segment of Mars.
Hmm.
मैंने कहा, how come cat comes under the Mars? Still मैंने जितना भी foundation था सब हिल गया अभी, like after reading that.
So this thing is very common. You will see multiple books stating multiple things, right?
Hmm.
Cat under Mars, some place cat under Ketu, some place cat will be associated with the Rashi,
Rahu
right?
as
Because
well.
it's a Chatushpad, right? So it will be associated with the Rashi. So we see all of that, right? But how you compare, you don't try to compare. You soak in the information. That's my agenda. That's how I go. I don't be like, okay, this is right or this is wrong. I said,
Hmm.
if they have written, they had some idea about it, they had some sense about it. I soak it, I keep it, I compartmentalize in my head. Okay, okay, this is also information, this is also information. It's all stacked. So when I'm bringing out something or when I'm talking about something, in my mind, I lay it out in front of me. Okay, somewhere cat was mentioned this, somewhere cat was mentioned this, somewhere it was mentioned this. Let's try all of them in this chart. So I do not take contradictions as they are trying to fight against each other. I see these are two different ideas. Now I have like a directory of ideas. So I
Hmm.
have like not just one. I have two information about the same topic rather than okay इनमें से कौन सी सही है. I'm like okay दोनों है. That's how I go. So that's what I do. Okay, sometimes. So one other thing, when we listen, see, okay, what is the Vak house, right? Where you speak, people will talk about second house, but I have read about fifth house as well, right? From I forgot the name of the book written by this Rishi, not Rishi actually, this Pandit Ganesh Acharya or something, right? I forgot the name. I'll come to it. I have it in my iPad. So they have talked about fifth house being the work house. Now, when I look into it, when I look into a chart, I look at third house and fifth house. And somewhere I also read about the fourth house being the work house. I look at third, fourth, and fifth. So the whole chart is more like a blob to me that okay this area is work house rather than just particular third fourth or fifth. This area is about speech, this area is about work and earning, right? So I go like that. But yeah, if someone is starting new, they will definitely see okay these are contradictory because we are coming from that scientific background that something only one thing can exist, right? Either this or that.
Or that. Correct.
Yes. So what I can suggest them, if you are going for either this or that, go for the older version, like go to BPHS, right? Or if you are actually want one, so I will say stick to BPHS, right? If you are open for rather than or and that, you are open for and, then so you are in great, waters. You will enjoy it. You will be like, with this and this and this. I have five different views of it. So when this is also one thing that you will see where if you are learning Gemini astrology as well, that sometimes contradict the Parashari astrology. And so I'm like, okay, rather than this or that, I will also go, okay, this is from Parashari, this is from Gemini astrology. Let's combine and let's make two predictions and keep those two predictions and see what is the common point in them. So I would
Hmm.
rather say don't compare, just keep both the information. That will help you. बट हाँ
Okay.
अगर बीपीएचएस के अलावा फल दीपिका इज आई यू नो व्हाट दिस इज अ हॉट टेक फल दीपिका आई थिंक was popularized by B.V. Raman because
Hmm.
if you read his books they are very much inspired from Fal Dipika. They have like picked up direct yogs from Fal Dipika because only B.V. Raman has written about this yoga of seventh lord being in fifth is bad, right?
Hmm.
Whereas in modern today's astrology, which I don't condone to, but like today's astrology, people talk fifth being the house of love, which it is not, but they talk about fifth being the house of love, and they're like seventh lord fifth में है तो बहुत अच्छा हो गया, love, marriage, and all of that, right? Which in Faldipika is like seventh lord and fifth is bad. Now the
Seventh Lord
same
and fifth
yoke
is.
is bad, right? And same yoke is written by B.V. Raman as well. And when you read his book, you see multiple times that B.V. Raman has directly picked up yokes from either
Paldipika.
Faldipika or Brihad Jatak. They both were very influential in South Indian astrology.
Hmm.
So that's why I say, okay, Brihad Jatak I will still push more, but Faldipika I take it with a grain of salt. Okay, okay. Okay, it's written there. Let's research a little bit more after Faldipika because Faldipika is the only book I think which mentions gemstones.
Hmm.
Right? No other astrology book mentions gemstones. There is
Yeah,
no
it is
other.
not in BPHS.
It's not in so
It is.
BPHS में ना gemstones is about दान. So if
हाँ,
you are doing Surya ka, then you do the दान of
हाँ
that,
वहाँ
or
पे
if you are
डोनेशंस के
doing
लिए मेंशन किया हुआ है,
वो
करेक्ट.
डोनेशंस के लिए मेंशन किया हुआ है. इट्स नॉट अबाउट वेयरिंग एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द कॉमन थिंग कलर्स वगैरह भी दे आर ऑल अबाउट डोनेशंस नॉट अबाउट वेयरिंग एंड विच पीपल हैव मिसइंटरप्रेटेड कि अरे पहन लेते हैं लेट्स वेयर दिस कलर लेट्स वेयर दिस जेमस्टोन लेट्स वेयर दिस जड़ लेट्स वेयर दिस लकड़ी एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट वेयर एज इट्स क्लियरली मेंशन गिव इट अवे not hoard it, just give it away. So that is one of the thing. But Fal Deepika mein they have mentioned, and there is one more book. I think it's work by Vashisht. It's written in one line in translation of Surendra Chandra Mishra. He has translated, and there it is written. The only two references I've ever found, right? And Phal Dipka hai, तो obviously I've not considered it proper. I'm like, okay, Phal Dipka hai, theek hai. It's important, but it's not like पत्थर की लकीर.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
yeah, you
So,
have
like,
to
what are the
you have to
set of
soak in.
books that you refer, like, while doing research? Jyotish
Okay,
Ratnakar,
so when I am
BPHS.
researching,
Hmm.
so Jyotish Ratnakar, you cannot use for research. You can use it as a learning. You are starting into astrology, right? So if you're entering into astrology and you have zero idea, then Jyotish Ratnakar is important. Uske baad, because you have grown out of it, right? It's like an elementary school. You will eventually grow out of it. Then in my research, I primarily always see BPHS, multiple translations, right? हर एक translation में different श्लोक्स हैं, right? None of the translation are same. So
Same. Hmm.
आपकी सारी translations I have two, one English, two Hindi, and two, three more which I don't see, but uh, Chokamba edition is the best,
Hmm.
right? Surendra Chandra, S.C. Mishra, that is
Hmm.
fine. I should not be saying this, but like that is just fine. Then there is by R. Santaram.
Ah,
That edition
Sankaram.
is
Hmm.
also that is also good, right? So I look into all of the three that at least that श्लोक जो मैं देख रहा हूँ वो है कि नहीं सब में, because sometimes नहीं होते हैं वो श्लोक सब में, ठीक है?
Hmm.
First starting from then I go to Brihad Jatak written by Varami. That is also very, very important for me. And then I take Saravali and Faldipika side by side. Okay? Because Saravali has is very rude. Saravali is a very rude book. If you read Saravali, it seems like they're like just bol diya na karo.
Yeah, it's like very blunt
It's very blunt.
statements. It's very
Saravali
blunt
is there.
statements are there.
Even before I open Saravali, I'm always like I have to prepare myself कि जो मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ
One
it's
can
going to
get
be.
into depression after reading that book.
Yes, but that is the most true and it's like enjoyable book if you enjoy like getting this कि हाँ ये गुस्सा करेंगे but ठीक बोलेंगे.
अच्छा बोलेंगे.
So yeah, so Saravali is very rude. So I before I open that book I have to mentally prepare कि ठीक है offend नहीं होना है बस सुन लेनी है बात. Then पल देते along with that. And then I also go and research. So I have like, multiple collections of like Nadi books, like,
Hmm.
Saptarishi Nadi or the BNN Bhrigunandi Nadi and all. I go in them and look at the charts which I'm looking for, like whatever research I'm doing, I go
Hmm.
into those as well, right? Then I definitely very good is Jatak Parijat.
Hmm.
Amazing book. And Gopesh Kumar Oja has translated it immensely amazingly. Right. I would say he should have translated all the books because he has given his notes, which are very, very useful. So that comes into my, directory when I'm searching. And then for specific topics, I try to research specific books as well. So being like, okay, if I'm researching about, let's say, a planet, then I will go to Chamatkar Chintamani, obviously, because
Hmm.
they're talking about planets very nicely. So if I'm talking about Rashis, then I might search some Western astrologers, right? I might read about them because Rashi is not necessarily very Indian topic. It's very
Hmm. It's
westernized
zodiac,
topic.
like more Western
Yeah.
astrology has
Ha.
talked more
Yes,
about
as more talked about it. So
zodiacs.
I will definitely once at least go into Linda Goodman's book, right?
Hmm. It's
Because
like one
she's
is UK Jha. You have done good research work on zodiac
yeah.
and
So this
Rashis.
is it. Okay. If I'm going for planets, bhavs, and all of that, then I will definitely look into it. Or if I'm what kind of yoga that I'm researching about, right? So then it becomes very specific to that.
Okay.
Sometime, yeah. So sometimes it's planetary, sometimes it's so when we were talking about the Rahu Ketu, right? We made a video on Rahu and Ketu, the Kal Sarpadosh. So that
Hmm.
was
I
a
saw that
yoga,
video.
right? And I figured out because yes, that yoga when I was doing, I figured out because it's a position-based yoga, so it comes under Nabhas yogas, right? So I went into Nabhas yoga. So I just like I knew okay, I have to search Nabhas yoga. Then Breedaman came in because of this 300 combination book that helped
Hmm.
because he has mentioned and listed out all the combinations. So it becomes easy for you to search. And in the end, he has mentioned Kal Sarpadosh, but like he has not mentioned the resource for it. right?
Hmm.
So we go into then I go into these K.N. Rao has mentioned Kalsarpa Yoga in his one of his book. So then I go into specifics कि किस direction में
Astrologers
research
like which
करनी है. But
astrologer have
starting,
mentioned what tank?
yes. So then I go into and look for their references, for their research कि वो क्या follow करते हैं उस book में होगा. तो अगर बी वी अमन ने किया then फल दीपिका मिल सकता है.
Hmm.
राइट, तो लाइक दैट, या फिर
Good.
अगर के एन राव ने रिसर्च किया है तो जेमिनी में मिल जाएगा,
जर्नी
जेमिनी
में मिल
सूत्र में मिल
जाएगा।
जाएगा.
हम्म।
एग्जैक्टली, सो दैट इज हाउ आई लुक इनटू देयर वर्क एज वेल. दैट्स हाउ आई
Hmm.
गो बुक वाइज एंड देन टॉपिक वाइज.
Okay. And how do you
हाउ.
look towards like Vedic astrology? It's such a vast word. A lot
हम्म.
of things come into Vedic astrology. So
यस.
Gemini comes into Vedic, then Parashari comes into Vedic, Bhrigunandi
यस.
Nadi, Bhrigunadi.
यस.
So how you look to this word like when people say I'm a Vedic astrologer. So how do you consider that, and how like these different branches are different to each other? I mean, as you mentioned that one should not merge the books or not merge the knowledge what one rishi has mentioned and what other
I
rishi has
would, yeah,
mentioned.
I would keep it all of them in my head like
Hmm.
simultaneously. So मेरे लिए क्या है, it's like a wall which has multiple paintings and these are different paintings,
Hmm.
right? I keep it like that. And when I'm looking at it, I'm not looking at one painting, I'm standing afar and I'm looking at the whole wall with multiple subjects. So when someone says they are Vedic astrologer, first of all, I don't believe them. I am like, okay, let's have a conversation and then we'll
uh,
see if you are or not. And that, that makes me sound like I'm a snob.
uh,
But I think I have very strong opinions about it. When a person comes with information which is gathered, then I'm like, no, you're not Vedic astrologer. Maybe you're YouTube astrologer. You've learned from YouTube, not from Veds or
okay.
from the Shastra.
Hmm.
So when they come with Vedic astrology, so I expect, so if a person is saying they are Vedic astrologer, I expect that they will come with
Some
the,
reference.
knowledge of the actual Shastra or Veds. So what I am trying to do right now is like I'm trying to find the actual Vedic references, like direct Vedic reference we get for nakshatras, right? The Vedic references are from nakshatras, not for Rashi. And now that is a new information that I have to keep in my head. Another thing कि राशि को थोड़ा कम इन्फ्लुएंस, कम यूज करके नक्षत्र को ज्यादा
नक्षत्र
यूज
को ज्यादा
करो
यूज किया है।
इफ यू आर गेटिंग इनटू. Yes. So, and but nakshatra are not used for, कि आप ऐसे होंगे वैसे होंगे. They are like, okay, very binary, good, bad, very binary. So, accepting that part, कि, कि are you trying to create a story around it, astrology, or are you being very binary as rishis have been, कि हाँ good है, अच्छा अच्छा मिलेगा, हाँ bad है, बुरा बुरा होगा. They're very trying to push astrology into everything. Astrology is a subject. It's a mathematical and statistical subject.
हम्म।
उसकी अपनी boundaries हैं, right? People try to push spirituality into astrology. It's not a part of astrology, right? They're trying to push, okay, what colors should you wear, what gemstones you should wear. When it's not a part of astrology, they try to push it. So if a person is doing that, then I'm like, okay, Vedic astrology में नहीं हो आप शायद, I guess, right? Then that is the kind of distinction I have. कि a person has to understand the आपका boundary
सर्कमफेरेंस
क्या
ऑफ
है astrology.
बाउंड्री क्या है वैदिक एस्ट्रोलॉजी का?
Yeah, astrology की. Because it cannot. I have seen people who are like, I saw this, like I saw a black cat on a black car. So, what is the significance, planetary significance of that? I'm like, nothing. It's just a black car and black cat. There's
Okay.
no planetary significance to that. It's Vedic astrology is not trying to explain every little detail of your life. Vedic astrology has its benefits. It has its own areas. If you want to talk about the, multiple things that it talks about, it will give you good details. But if you're talking about अरे मेरी घर का पेंट ऐसा क्यों है, या फिर
Hmm.
why this happened or that happens, all small things, then I will say okay, you are like trying to push it. So इसलिए
Hmm.
I consider Vedic astrology within the boundaries of the subject.
Vedas only.
So sometimes the Shastra, like हाँ, मतलब the Shastra is like the part
शास्त्रास
of
के
it,
अंदर।
like,
हम्म।
हाँ, so वो उसका part है, like it's one of the very strong pillars of it. So हाँ, if it is confined to that, because people these days people try to put philosophy, like the darshan part, into astrology. That is a total different subject, right? Try to put, multiple other things into astrology, which is not a part of astrology, right? So that is when I get a little bit. One thing that I'm researching now on is how the gods enter into astrology. Because if you're
Devata,
reading about
deities.
astrology, Shastra, yes, the deities were there, but the planets were planets. Planets were not Bhagwan like Surya Dev or Shani Dev. They became devatas later. So like how they have entered and how they have transformed. So it's like there is some merging of all of these things. I've seen this, the theory of karma being exploited. कि हाँ आपका karmic debt था and all of that thing exploited. Theory of karma being very strongly incorporated into astrology. Where there are two different subjects. तो वो वाली चीज I consider as, yeah, beyond the boundaries or just on the periphery of it. So, creating that is necessary. The वो वाली very boundaries I have created in my head.
Hmm.
So yeah,
And
that
like
when
while doing research, definitely I really love that you refer to the shastras, what is mentioned in the classical text. When it comes to
Hmm.
talk, remedial part. I mean that as you were
Yeah.
telling, like ye aisa kar lo, waisa kar
Hmm.
lo, and then things will, it
Hmm.
is not mentioned in shastras and
Yeah.
classical text. I
Yes.
mean, they're
Yes.
making the
Yes.
remedies. So, what is
Yes.
your call on this? How, like, the subject is mentioned? Definitely, you must have research on the remedial
Yeah.
part as well, right?
Yes.
So,
So my call is that again a hot take. People will be like, okay, this is getting like them. I think astrologers will disown me. As we're talking about astrology, एक society है, they'll disown me on this. Okay, tell me this thing. This is one of the major question I have when people come about remedies. First of all, by doing anything, can you change the planetary positions in your chart?
definitely not.
Right. The first thing is that. So if you come to an astrologer, one astrologer, astrologer A, यार मेरे पास आए, and I told you some remedies, right? आपके planetary position change नहीं होगी, and
Hmm.
आपने वो remedies करी, right? And let's say after you come to me, the next dasha is the problematic dasha for you, and you go to astrologer B. He will look into your chart. He will still, prescribe you some remedies again. Even though you have already done some remedies through me, the next will also prescribe you some remedies, right? Because the planetary position has not changed. So you can go to 10 astrologers and all will prescribe remedies, right? So what are remedies doing for you? First of all, that if dasha is not coming or if things are not, if you are not doing the karma, so how are you going to rely on a remedy? Second thing is, can you do any डायरेक्टेड कर्म एज एन मैंने ये करा और इस कर्म का ये रिजल्ट मिलेगा इज दैट पॉसिबल बिकॉज इन आर culture in our dharma there is no directed karma you
Hmm.
can do anything but you can never know what the result of it is going to be
That's true.
right. That's what Krishna told. You kill your family. You
Hmm.
don't know if you are going to get स्वर्ग or नरक. That I will decide. Krishna said, वो मैं decide करूंगा. तुम अपना सब कर्म करो. Right? So
Hmm.
even God is not telling the person in front of him कि क्या result होने वाला है. Right? So you can not have the अच्छा मैंने ये कर्म किया फिर रिजल्ट मिलेगा. So how can you be like okay मैंने ये पूजा करी इसका मुझे ये रिजल्ट मिलेगा ही मिलेगा. Right? So how can the direction you how are we deciding कि इस कर्म का ये रिजल्ट मिलने वाला है
Hmm.
right? So you cannot know that either.
True.
So that so when people say कि आप जाकर like these I've seen on Instagram कि आप जाकर ये लाल कपड़े में बांध के इसको यहाँ रख दो something like that right? How do you know इस कर्म का आपको रिजल्ट आपकी लव लाइफ में मिल रहा है या आपको इसका रिजल्ट आपके बिजनेस लाइफ में मिल रहा है? How do you know that? Even God does not tell you that. भगवान ने तो नहीं बताया because he said कि मैं नहीं बताने वाला तो बस कर्म करो फल is
कि
not in your
इच्छा मत
hands you
करो.
cannot
Hmm.
decide the फल नहीं that is the mistranslation फल की
Hmm.
इच्छा मत करो is mistranslation फल पर अधिकार नहीं है is the right translation
पल पर अधिकार नहीं.
कि
Okay.
तुम्हारा कर्म पर अधिकार है फल पर अधिकार नहीं है इच्छा
Hmm.
करना हाँ इच्छा तो ही टोल की इच्छा निष्काम कर्म करना है आप तुम्हारा फल पर अधिकार नहीं है तुम्हारे सिर्फ कर्म पर अधिकार है यू कैन जस्ट डू द कर्म फल पर अधिकार मेरा है आई एम द गॉड मैं डिसाइड करूंगा
I'll decide.
ठीक है
हाँ,
दैट्स
मम्मी पापा को कितना देना
यस
है.
so that is thing right that is my second argument in remedies ठीक है third argument is that I have like I have multiple arguments against
Hmm.
remedies wala part right कि apart from these कि if you think कि planets are gods now this is going to be very controversial I don't think planets to be gods. I
Okay.
think planets to be planets. Planets are planets, right? Even when we were talking earlier when the Shastra, if you read the Surya Siddhanta and all of that, so they talk planets in terms of very mathematical pinned or as in objects in sky. Okay, very
Hmm.
mathematically
Hmm.
they're calculating their motions. And जैसे since you understand in corporate, you have seen graphs, right? यू अंडरस्टैंड कि हमने कोई भी ग्राफ देखा हमने लेआउट करा कि ये है उसके बाद हम वी कैन मेक अ फ्यूचर प्रोडिक्शन ऑन दैट
Hmm.
एज इन स्टॉक मार्केट हमने उसके पिछले
That's like
वो देखा
analysis that
वी
we
हैव
do,
सीन द
technical
परफॉर्मेंस हाउ इट हैज
analysis.
बीन डूइंग
Hmm.
yes and then we can predict कि अच्छा it's going to go up or it's going to go down, right, based on those indicators, right? Now you cannot just change the graph, whatever it is going to it. So if you are changing the graph, the real situation is not going to change. तुमने ग्राफ में शो कर दिया वो नीचे जाएगा, बट इफ इट इज सपोज टू गो अप इट विल गो अप. So I think planets are more of an indicators. They are not the causing reason. They are not the reasons of something happening to you.
Okay.
Okay. And this is a little difficult for a person in astrology to understand because it took me a lot of time. And one of the example I formulated for this is, let me bring out the example if it works. Tell me if it works. So just imagine, just have an imagination कि suddenly बाहर अंधेरा होना शुरू होता है. ठीक है. And then you see outside and you see सारे पक्षी वगैरह ना they're flying everywhere haphazardly and you hear loud voice, thundering loud voices. चींटियां बाहर आने लगी, right? And you smell a very अच्छी सी like ठंडी
Foul
ठंडी हवा
smell.
चल रही
Yeah.
है,
Hmm.
right? It's like very nice smell that you're smelling के गीली मिट्टी वाली smell,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
right? So what will you predict what is going to happen?
बरसात हुई है कहीं पे.
Exactly, right? You can predict.
हाँ.
But any of these, none of these is the reason. ना वो
हाँ.
चिड़िया उड़ रही उसकी वजह से बरसात हुई, ना चींटियों के बाहर आने से बरसात हुई, ना अंधेरे से बरसात हुई, ना उस स्मेल से बरसात हुई. These are indicators that we use to
कि
predict the
बरसात हो रही है.
weather,
हम्म.
right?
ओके.
Similarly, planets are the indicators कि यहाँ है जिसकी वजह से we can predict कि something might happen, right? They are not the reason for things to happen,
ओके. If
right?
they become the reason, then definitely remedy can work.
Yes, if they become the reason, then remedy can work. So then you can please directly say, please Mangal, don't do this.
Hmm.
But Mangal is a planet. It's going around being and be like, Acha, this is I'm going to do. It's just
Hmm.
going around. Now, as our rishis have predicted कि कि ऐसा सा अंधेरा होता है, चींटियां बाहर तो बारिश होती है, राइट? अगर बादल इस डायरेक्शन से आया तो ये होता है, अगर इस डायरेक्शन से आया तो ये होता है, राइट? अगर हवा इस डायरेक्शन चल रही है तो ऐसा होता है, राइट? ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स वी हैव फिगर्ड आउट. किसी एंड इन पामिस्ट कि आपकी रेखा ऐसी है तो ये होता है, राइट? आपको यहाँ पे तिल है तो ये होता है, राइट? द तिल इज नॉट द रीजन, द रेखा इज नॉट द रीजन. आप रेखा चेंज तो नहीं कर सकते इफ यू वांट टू इंप्रूव सर्टेन थिंग्स,
Hmm.
राइट?
True.
सिमिलरली प्लैनेट्स की अगर प्लैनेट यहाँ पर है तो ये होने के चांसेस हैं, प्लैनेट वहां पर है तो ये होने के चांसेस हैं. So they are not becoming, we as a human are trying to find a pattern in them. And
Hmm.
since we are finding a pattern in them and they are not the actual reasons, so the remedies will, how will they work? Right?
Okay.
How will the remedies work?
Hmm.
Right?
So there's a chapter in BPHS in part two. R संथा नाम की बुक है
Hmm.
मेरे पास
Yes.
में. So there's a separate chapter for remedies for different planets.
Remedies.
If
Yes.
this is this
I
is
know.
if this is the thing, this is the issue,
Yes.
then one should do this, make the donation of this, इतना यज्ञ कराना है, इतना मंत्र का chanting करना है, and then you will be
Yes.
blessed. I mean,
Yes.
uh,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
this
Hmm.
when Bhagwan Ram was, going for this fight with Ravan,
Hmm.
then he worshipped
Hmm.
शिवा आदित्य हृदय स्त्रोत का जब उन्होंने पाठ
Yes.
किया था. So
Yes.
what is your call on
Yes.
this
And
part? Like
Aditya
when
there.
it is mentioned in BPHS, so
Hmm.
what exactly understanding you
Hmm.
have on the part of the
Yes.
remedial part which is mentioned in the BPHS and
Yes.
other books?
And I have made a video on that where I mentioned the remedies as well. In
Hmm.
okay, how even it's not the just the end. You find remedies in middle as well. You find remedies where you are talking about the dashas. So every antar dasha within a mahadasha, there's a remedy mentioned by the end of the dasha. कि
Hmm.
सूर्य अगर राहु की महादशा में सूर्य की अंतर दशा है, if it's negative then you should do this. बुध की है तो you should do this. Like there are, you know 9 into 9 remedies. There's so many remedies.
Hmm.
But what it is that when they are mentioning remedies, we have to think where they're coming from, right? They were in that time that remedies or that puja part was the major karma, like was the most important thing that you can do, because there is still a little bit less understanding of multiple other things, right? That was one of the major thing that they're doing on a daily basis that becomes the most important part of their life. Now in today's world, right, there are multiple religions, right? The astrology is widespread.
Hmm.
So as you know, astrology is applicable on everyone, right? Every human being that is born on earth.
True.
And if you look at a chart of a person who is born in Africa or born in Amazon, right, who has no resources, who is just like a tribe, and who's hunting in jungles and eating the food, and you look at that chart and you understand, Rahu में सूर्य की दशा चल रही है. Let me tell him this remedy. Will they understand it?
How that
So
that's like that makes a difference on Karl's Than Patra. We
yes,
have
so
to
the
look
thing
that
is,
part too.
the remedies are very Hindu centric,
Hmm.
right? It is very centric to the people who are born in a particular religion and also in that religion follow a certain sect, right? It is for them. So it's not for everyone. Remedies वाला जो पूजा पाठ वाला पाठ है,
Uh-huh.
right? It's
Okay.
not for everyone. So even if you are, let's say, if you are born in India and earlier, right? Even if you're going through that and you were, and at that time, so Vedic time में तो नहीं था differentiation, but later on we saw the Varna differentiation,
Hmm.
right? कि आप अगर शूद्र वर्ण से हैं या फिर आप दूसरे वर्ण से हैं किसी भी से, so you are also again not allowed to worship, right? So those remedies part is for the person who can do that thing. So if you are into religion, right, you can do an added karma. That is the remedy part. It is not a universal thing, whereas astrology is
Okay.
universal, right?
Hmm.
So Kshatriya, as in Ram, did that because he could, right? Because he had the access, first of all, of his class, he had the access of the Purohits, he had the access for the resources, so he could,
Hmm. Not
right?
everyone
So
is
if
having
you have
access of
all of that,
resources.
yes. So if you have all of that, then you may. If you believe in this, if you have the access, if you can do it with the bhakti and devotion, then you do. Then you do the remedies. ठीक है? And remedies specifically on puja part, because it's all puja related remedies.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's
True.
no other remedies of the gemstone and other. So if
Hmm.
you believe, then you do it, right? As a normal person would in a situation which is dire to his health or life, he would anyway reach out to his higher energy, right? A Christian would reach
True.
out to Jesus,
Hmm.
right? In a situation, he'll need bend down on his knees and he'll literally be like, okay, God save me, right? That is what these remedies are. Because at that time, the rishis are writing, they are from the Hindu sect. They are like, okay, in a dire situation, bow down to the god.
So that's like surrendering yourself to the
Yes.
highest
So
supreme
that is
power.
why yes, and that is why the remedies are there.
So that's basically, I'll not say that it is correcting anything. It's just giving some inner strength to bear that
Yes, it is like,
consequences or
okay, right
effects.
now I am in, yeah, yes, I am in the situation. I am in a situation where these dashas are so difficult. I cannot figure out a pathway. So let me pray to the God and just get me. But if a person, let's say a healthy working person, if he's going through a difficult time, should he surrender or should he try to work towards correcting it?
No, obviously, if
Okay,
he should try to put efforts.
to correct. Yes,
Correct.
that's why when people depend on remedies, it either are they're not willing to work. They are like, okay, मेरे से कुछ नहीं हो सकता. I don't have resources. I don't have anything left. That is when you, okay, the puja is necessary for you, because now you know जैसे movies में अब इनको दवा की नहीं दुआ की जरूरत है. That is
Huh.
the remedy part.
Okay, that's for me like
Uh,
it's completely a new thought which you're giving me. So I still need to digest this thought, and definitely
I
I'll
know,
look
I know.
into.
The more difficult I think would have been the understanding of planets not as gods but as indicators.
Correct, correct.
That is a very controversial thing which I am not able to bring out yet to people because they are so
But I have
connected to
noticed one
religion.
thing, like while reading books or while
Hmm.
understanding the planetary things, that there are traits which is mentioned in the books regarding the planet to one specific
Hmm.
deity.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like we are understanding, because we are understanding the traits of planet with the help of
Hmm.
story, which,
Yes, yes.
whichever
True.
god we are. For example, it's Mangal, then we say like worship Hanuman, right?
Yes.
So
So
we
it's
are
somewhat
picking up the
similar.
things
Yes.
from Hanuman's life, and then we are applying it with the planet
Yes.
Mars, how Mars
Yes.
is going to work, and what is the style of working
Yeah, we are
for
just
that particular
correlating
planet.
them somehow, some
Hmm.
deity, correlating them to the planetary traits, their planetary attributes. That's what we are doing. Considering them as those deities or as those planets might not be correct. Overlaying them can be okay, right? If
Okay.
you're overlaying the, traits of, let's say, this planetary, let's say, Mangal on
Mangal and
Mars,
Mars,
or over
Kartikeya
Mars,
or Hanuman. Hmm.
yes, you can do that. But considering Mars itself as totally Mangal or totally, Kartikeya, that would be a, not super correct.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
overlaying is still okay, but being one and considering them as one, that might be the problem where, most astrologers, if you go to them, the first thing they'll say, okay, Dasha, they'll look at the Dasha, they'll look at the planetary problem, and they'll be like, okay, this is the puja you can do. So they already are starting considering that you have surrendered completely. That you are like, okay, in that zone, कि हाँ भाई हाथ जोड़ के बस मेरे लिए
That is
कुछ
why
कर
you're
दो.
coming to astrologer.
Yeah, and then you are like, rather than telling if see what I have seen multiple times, and this is one of the things that I've seen so many times happen. Uh, Saturn Rahu का time period या फिर Rahu Saturn का time period, ठीक है? Depending on the planetary positions and their strengths and positive and negativity, right? What I see usually it is situation, it is the thing that wants to push you out of the place where you are, push you out of your comfort zone. मेजरली सैटर्न भी आपको आउट ऑफ कंफर्ट जोन लेके जाने वाला है एंड राहु भी आपको आउट ऑफ
राहु भी
कंफर्ट
लेके
जोन लेके
जाता है,
जाने वाला
करेक्ट.
है एंड it's not so we are not generalizing it, but what I have seen this happening multiple times, ठीक है? And the person is lying on their bed very comfortably, ठीक है? And then they are complaining that nothing is happening for me, right? My health is deteriorating, my money is not there, I am not earning anything, is like not anything is not anything is not working in favor, everything is like going negatively. And we see in their chart कि आपको you have to make some efforts right now. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to, push yourself. Whatever thing you can do, right? Starting from cleaning to your workout to gym to walks to going out in a different city. You have to do something. So in that situation, if you go to an astrologer and he does not tell you this, okay, your planets are suggesting a work, and he
Hard
tells
work.
you, okay, let's do Mahamrityunjay for you. Now, which will work for you? Which will work out? The Mahamrityunjay will improve the situation, or your
No,
hard work will
obviously
improve the situation.
lifestyle change is what is need to
Necessary,
be
right?
done initially according to planets. That's
Yes.
what I
So
have
if you are
analyzed over the
still, so
period of
you
time.
go, yes. So if you go in the morning, do Mahamrityunjay, come back and lie on your bed, how will things shift? Right. You just said this is the only thing that you are doing. So it's like you are surrendering completely. So I say okay, these are the remedies, but
Hmm.
these are for those who have, first of all, we discussed that religious belief hona chahiye and all of that. If you have, but also if you have totally given up, you are on bed because of your health condition. कि अब तो मैं कुछ कर ही नहीं सकता. I am in a situation that I cannot do the karma. So in that time, I would pray to God, pray to like Shiva, okay, please help me out, either improve my physical body so that I can do something, right? Whereas your body is healthy, and then you are praying to God so that like money आ जाए, पैसा आ जाए या कुछ आ जाए, कैसे आएगा, right? You still have to go out and work, right?
Hmm.
That is one thing that I love the opening lines of Eat, Pray, Love. If you've seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love, the opening line is that a person went to God every day praying कि भगवान मेरी लॉटरी लगवा दो, मेरी लॉटरी लगवा दो, and he kept on doing that for years कि भगवान मेरी लॉटरी लगवा दो, and एक दिन भगवान सामने उतर के आ गए कि like हाँ लगवा दूंगा लॉटरी, बट जाके टिकट तो खरीद लॉटरी की. So exactly, that is the thing.
Lovely.
So you have to do the कर्म तभी तो कुछ मिलेगा. You
Hmm.
are constantly going and praying कि भगवान मेरे को पैसे दिलवा दो, make me a millionaire, but
हाँ.
then you are coming back and lying on your bed, right? You have to go and
True.
do something about it. So
Hmm.
that's why the remedies can work,
Hmm.
right? But apart with your work, with your
That is like first one should
karma,
change the lifestyle according to the planet.
yes,
How planet
yes,
want to give result will give
yes,
result, but eventually you have to put efforts
yes.
according to the
Yes,
planet.
exactly. So for इसमें ना I think astrologer का role आता है. That astrologer should not be reliant on remedy कि भाई remedy कर लेते हैं. Astrologer should first
Hmm.
of all be like, okay, these are the karmas. Are you able to do? Do you have the resources to do? Do you have resource to move out of the city? Let's say if that is, do you have resource to, go to gym or work out? Do you have resource to or energy to clean or time to do all of these things? If you
Hmm.
have, then let's start from there, right? फिर रेमेडी पे आएंगे. If they say नहीं मैं ये भी नहीं कर सकता ये भी नहीं कर सकता my health is this and all that, then a astrologer should be like, okay, let's start from the remedy, and then when things start improving we'll get into that. But what we see these days, first thing, okay, पूजा करवा लेते हैं without even asking कि क्या कर सकते हो कैसे improve कर सकते हो, just
Yeah.
jump into the puja. So
Yeah.
that is like answering your question from the starting. कि remedies, how I see remedies. This is how I see
Hmm.
remedies.
Yeah, even like recently, like one Pandit approached me and said कि आप astrologer हैं,
हम्म.
आप वो वाला astrologer है ना, like
हम्म.
वो studied from books, not from Gurukul. So पूजा पाठ तो वो
Yeah.
गुरुकुल वाला astrology में like they do a lot. You go to any traditional astrologer, they'll
Yes.
suggest you कि go do this Kal Sarva puja or you do this Rina Mukti puja and things will. I mean ऐसा नहीं होता है.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when I've like looked into multiple
Yeah.
charts, if somebody is having, debts of around 2-3 crores, so एक ऋण मुक्ति puja cannot
Hmm.
you help you out in clearing all the debts.
Yes.
You have to put efforts along with the
Yes.
puja. पहला efforts डालना
Exactly.
पड़ेगा, then puja
Along
can
with
work
puja.
out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So you put some efforts and then you keep on praying to the God. And then we cannot push the person to do the Hindu. If a person is, let's say, I have a multiple different
Hmm.
religious belief wale clients. I cannot push them कि, you
Do
go
puja.
do
Hmm.
Surya Puja or you go Mangal Puja, right? I have to be like, okay, in this situation, do your effort and whoever you believe in, right? Whoever, just give your
Worship
devotion,
them.
be devotional towards that. Yeah. So we cannot be like, okay, this is the puja. If you have to do, this is the only puja you have. Like you have to do Gayatri ka jap or Mahamrityunjay jap. No, do whoever you believe in. Do puja of that if required. So that's why I also understand, this is where you have to, expand the brain of an astrologer. Ki astrology is not just for Hindus. It's for
It is for
everyone
everyone.
in the
It
world.
is for everyone.
Even a person on a stranded island who does not know humanity exists, right? Even for them, we have astrology, and they have like a totally different gods. They might be worshipping some plants or some trees, which we also do. But like if that works for you, that's great, right? But the karma is universal. Everyone can
Hmm.
do that.
I might sound silly, like I am getting this one question.
And
So
I
like
don't think so.
so
I
like as astrology is for everyone. So here there are other living beings as well, apart from human beings, right? So does it work
Mhm.
for those different you know species as well?
I for that, yes, for that I have an answer that I actually have thought about this question. It's not silly, I think. And I don't think any question can be silly. But yeah, I
uh,
have thought about this question as well. First, my answer would be primarily, I think if a person has, or if a living being has consciousness, right,
Consciousness. Hmm.
that they can do conscious efforts, they can make conscious efforts, then we should look for an astrologer. So if, let's say, if a animal, right, if they can make conscious efforts, if you can, they can direct their efforts in a certain way,
Hmm.
then we can look for their chart, look at their chart. Secondly, while looking at their chart, we cannot look into the Vimshottari Dasha because they are
Okay.
not all of them are going to live 120 years, right?
Hmm.
Vimshottari Dasha
Hmm.
is primarily for humans who are expected to live. So we'll have to change the Dasha
Hmm.
for them, right? We'll have to look at some other Dasha and
Hmm.
then look at the chart. But again, it is for our satisfaction and our understanding. You cannot tell apart from human who cannot communicate with you, okay, okay, this is what you should be doing, or this is what is going to happen, right?
Hmm.
So in certain situations, I think for that, so even if they cannot even ask questions, you cannot even make a prashna kundli for them,
True.
right? So it's very it's what happens in such situations, what
Uh-huh.
I do in such situations. If it's a pet, I
Hmm.
look at the owner's chart.
Hmm.
Okay, I look at the owner's chart and see how their time is going to be, right? And how it might reflect on their pet. And secondly, I look at the Prashna Kundli, like Prashna chart without the Prashna, right?
Hmm.
Okay, what the current time is telling. So Kundali is more about the planetary position. So right now, what is the current planetary position and how it might impact any particular chart in general, right? So overlaying the transit on the natal chart and just studying that. So I have multiple things in my head, right? I am not trying to merge. So I have multiple. So I pull out that section, okay, overlaying transit on the natal chart,
Natal
and see
chart.
how it is, yeah, and how it is like fixing and what might be the situation. And then
Hmm.
from that come to a conclusion. And then
Okay.
that is a very binary conclusion. It
Makes
is not
sense.
directed. So it will not be कि ये पूजा करनी है, ये कर्म करना है. It's like just for your information, this is what it is, right? It's just an
Hmm.
informatory chart. के natal chart के ऊपर हमने transit chart को overlay करा, and you just look at के okay, how are they, reacting to each other, and that's it. In that, Ashtak work comes very useful.
Hmm. For transits. Yeah, I've
Yes,
seen your
when you are
this
doing for a
Sade Sati wala video. Wonderful. I mean, like I've
yes, oh
applied
my God,
on lot of charts, like because Sade Sati do not, work for everyone in the similar manner. So that's a generalized
yes,
thing which is there
yesterday only.
online.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yesterday only I had a person whose Sadasati was amazing. He said, I got everything during my Sadasati. Like, I can see you at 6 points in Sadasati. Obviously, it will do. And if you'll go to some other astrologer who is not looking at Ashtak Varg, will say, Arey, Sadasati, bura time aane wala hai.
बुरा
I'm like,
टाइम आने
nope,
वाला है, हार्ड
आपकी
वर्क
Sadasati
आने
is going
वाला
to be
है.
great. Yes, but like, look at your Sadasati. You have like 6 points. It is going to be 50% amazing than normal. And
Hmm.
he had
I
that
mean, I
amazing
think
time.
that's how one should look on transit for different planets too, not just particularly for Saturn,
Yes.
but for
Yes.
different planets, how
Saturn,
different
every
planets,
planet.
what points, what kind of point is given by different planet in
Yes,
different astrology.
whenever I'm looking, I'm trying to make a, I'm trying to lay out any guidance to anyone. So I try to make sure, okay, Dasha, we'll look at the Dasha. And once you have figured out the planets, the Dasha, then I try to look at the Ashtak work, all 7 planets should get at least 4 or above, right?
Hmm.
Then there's a good chance of something happening, right? If you see
Okay.
आपके अष्टक वक्र दशा में this planet is getting less marks, right? You're getting 3 2 3 2 and all of that. And like दशा कितनी भी अच्छी हो, but the overlaying of transit is not helping. So वही same planets की दशा कोई और देखो, some other time when all these planets are involved, and look at that transit time period, and then you get a very good time period कि हाँ, this makes sense. Sometimes दशा में you will not see partnerships.
Hmm.
Why did the two people meet? The dasha is not matching. But when you look at the transit, it's like completely matching
It
the
it
seven
is
seven points
working,
in
correct.
Ashtak Varg. Yeah. So that's why I think Sadasati is like one of the Hawa that people have made. Okay, this
A
Sadasati
big
hai.
hawa actually, not a chota
Yes.
mota hawa. It's a
Sada
big hawa.
and Manglik Dosh. That's again
Manglik
one of
dosh,
the
another hot topic which people
yes,
look.
very
I
hot
am
topic.
Manglik.
And
I should I marry like Manglik person only? So
this
मतलब
thing
एक
comes
एक
from I
बहुत
think
बड़ा
the Prashna
फियर
mark.
है मार्केट में
हाँ
रिगार्डिंग
हाँ.
मांगलिक कि मांगलिक नॉन मांगलिक से शादी करेगा तो फिर पार्टनर का डेथ हो जाएगा.
This is what when people tell me this, I ask them simple question. ठीक है कि चलो आपकी कुंडली में मांगलिक दोष है. What if right now I find a Raj in कुंडली? Will you become king?
हम्म.
One मांगलिक दोष पे आप इतना भार like इतना weightage दे one Raj. Will you trust कि you will become a Raja? राइट नो
True.
ना नहीं. एक अगर राजा नहीं बनता तो एक मांगलिक दोष से भी कोई नहीं मरने वाला. You have
हम्म.
to have multiple afflictions, like multiple Rajyogs to reach heights. You have to have multiple affliction to go down. So एक एक के बेस पर you don't jump to conclusions. That's what I tell कि हाँ, एक के बेस पर one is so we don't even consider. I tell them कि अगर एक ही हो गया तो I just like let it go. कहते कुछ नहीं है इसमें. It's just like
हम्म.
थोड़ा सा देखेंगे थोड़ा निकल जाएंगे. You have to have multiple. That's everyone an astrologer would know. But like what people are making money out of this. People are making money out of कि अच्छा ये पूजा कर लेते हैं. Let's do this
तुम
पूजा,
फिर हाँ
right?
वो
Yes.
डराने वाला काम बहुत हो गया है.
Kal Sarp Yog. Look at the biggest example of fear. 90% of the people that I talk to have gone through their Kal Sarp Dosh Puja. I'm like,
पूजा.
first of all, tell me when did you do it? Right? First of all, what was the time period that Pandit chose for you to do Kal Sarp Puja?
That
right?
Muhurt,
He has
Muhurt
to find the
important
time. Let's
for pujas as well. When we read the
yeah,
classical text, there is
huh?
specific nakshatra, specific
Yes,
day which is chosen for that particular puja. You
yes.
cannot just do the puja like that
Yeah,
and it will give you result. That is a
and
specific timings which.
if you are doing for Kal Sarpadosh, yeah, if you're doing for Kal Sarpadosh, which one will you choose? Right? Because there's no mention of Kal Sarpadosh. So which one will you choose?
Hmm.
Secondly, which dasha were you in? अगर काल सर्पदोष की पूजा करी, which dasha were you in? Were Rahu Ketu dasha even active? And Kal Sarpadosh is a very planetary position based dose, right? If people are saying, okay, these are the planetary positions that, and it will stay. If a Kal Sarpadosh starts, it can stay for all what? Kal Sarpadosh
Kalsar
lasting for
dosh.
15 days, it can, right? In a very conducive state, it can last for 15 days till the moon moves out of the axis. It starts from, सारे planets एक साइड कर दिए, मून को रखा राहु के साथ, and then मून घूम के जब तक केतु के बाहर नहीं निकलता 15 days तो लगेंगे. So
Hmm.
people born in those 15 days will all have Kal Sarpadosh,
Hmm.
right? So it doesn't make sense like that. So Kal Sarpadosh is one of the dosh or yog that does not exist in classical text. It is not mentioned, right? So it's again a very recently created dosh, and the reason why I don't enjoy this dosh or
Hmm.
Nabha's dosh in itself is even B.V. Raman has mentioned it. कि any of the Nabha's yogs are can be easily overridden. कि अगर कोई और योग है जो नाभस योग से स्ट्रांग है तो नाभस योग को भूल जाओ, उस योग को दूसरे वाले को वैल्यू करो. ठीक है, because they are like a situation, like a planetary position based. वो हमेशा ही रहने वाले. Nabhas yoga is something which will stay in your chart forever, right? So you cannot rectify them as well. So if you are creating a Kalasarpa dosh as a dosh, it will come under under the concept of Nabhas yoga. So you cannot rectify it as well. So how is this puja helping you? I guess
Hmm.
if someone has actually read the books, he will know. Okay, उसमें लिखा हुआ है. Like एक तो first of all exist नहीं करता है, but अगर exist करेगा तो नाभस योग में आएगा. वो rectify नहीं कर सकते हो आप.
उसका तो फिर
So
इफेक्ट आएगा.
sometimes yeah, I think
One
it's
has
like
to bear the effect of. Okay,
but
so one more question here. So as we
hmm,
say, like, the Raj Yoga is there in the chart, but then it activates on a
hmm,
specific timing.
hmm,
Accordingly, like these doshas, this Kal Sarpa
hmm,
dosha and XYZ, there are
hmm,
Veda Vidosh, a lot of doshas are there. That get activated when the planetary alignment would be there or the timing will come, or is it like will
hmm.
trouble you throughout the life?
So it has to only start when those trouble-making planets are active. So you will
Hmm.
see कि मारक की दशा में you always find people having problems, right? मारक की दशा में, right? They have problems. So that is a particular time period, right? Let's say Ketu के time period में people have problems. Ketu usually creates problems unless it is very positive. Ketu creates problems. Ketu के time में you see problems. So it is very time specific, right? Dasha specific. Raj Yoga also not activates at the time. It opens up a window for you to create something. It does
Hmm.
not give you anything for free, right? जैसे कोई प्रॉब्लम का सॉल्यूशन नहीं मिलता, ऐसे ही राजयोग में राज एकदम से नहीं मिलेगा. इफ यू आर ऑन द पाथ यू माइट गेट अ forward push, like a
Get the
booster
opportunities to work towards that direction.
opportunities, right? So similarly, in a negative yog or any dosh, right? Things will not start falling. It will again only open up the potholes for you. जिसमें तुम गिर सकते हो if you are
Hmm.
not careful, right? So if you are very careful, you can maneuver. But if you are आंखें बंद करके चलोगे तो गिर जाओगे, राइट? सो अगेन जैसे राजयोग में भी है कि वो आपके लिए एकदम से दरवाजा नहीं खोलता, इट गिव्स यू अपॉर्चुनिटी. सिमिलरली दोष ऑल्सो गिव्स यू दीज ऑब्स्टिकल्स दैट यू कैन मैन्यूवर. आप उनके अराउंड निकल सकते हो, बट इफ यू हैव लाइक कॉन्शियसनेस, सो या दे विल activate during a specific time only. Not all the time you can have these potholes, right? Not all the time you can have windows opening for you. So they are
Hmm.
very time specific, I think. And that is where the Nabhas yogs come in because they are not time specific. They are active all throughout your life, right? And sometimes the people don't understand yogs. One of the things that we recently discussed was the Panch Mahapurush Yog.
Panch Mahapurush
If you've
Yoga, yeah.
seen
Yeah,
Purush
seen that
Yog,
video.
these are not provider yogs. They don't provide you anything. If you read about the Panch Mahapurush Yog, there's nothing. See, if you have it, it's not going to provide you something. कि लो आपके लिए ये हो
That is
गया, आपको
inbuilt,
मिल
I guess,
जाएगा.
like that. That's like a qualities there in your personality which comes out
Yes,
of that yoga.
they are more of a personality yogs के आप ऐसे होंगे kind of. Very few yogs that are mentioning personality, by the way. There are
Hmm.
not a lot of yogs that in astrology mentions personality. This is one of those yog Panch Mahapuran. That's why I think they were important earlier, that they are mentioning personalities. Right? Apart from that, the personality mention you get in Saravali, like a very angry book, but Saravali, in the end, you get personality mention in the Navman chapter. Right?
Hmm.
108 personalities they are mentioned, which is like the most extensive work, I think. Saravali ke end mein 108 personalities they have mentioned, different and facial features and the height and the width and everything they have mentioned. So yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah,
That's
yogis
so
I
much
think
to
will
remember.
activate.
Lot of things to remember every time. Like when I
You know
open book,
what?
I feel like something is there which I still need to study.
Uh,
Still, this topic is not touched
I
yet.
also think Vedic is. Yeah, I feel that way. I feel, to be very honest, one of the most difficult thing, I think that I will, uh, say one of the most difficult thing for me is to remember the nakshatra and the positive negatives. कि किस काम के लिए कौन सा नक्षत्र पॉजिटिव किस काम के लिए कौन सा नक्षत्र नेगेटिव बिकॉज इट्स नथिंग कि you know anything is good or bad, they just have different attributes.
True.
ठीक है, like Mangal has its attributes. If you want to fight, it will help you. All right, it's not bad, but if you want to, have a very calm and composed conversation with a person, if you are being diplomatic, Mangal will not help you there. So in a situation, a planet can be positive or negative, not all the time. So वही चीज जब if it comes down to nakshatra, there are 27 nakshatra and then tithis, there are 15 tithis and then the current and then
Current.
matching all of them and then remembering the it
It's
becomes a
huge.
huge
Huge.
yes. I
Huge.
am like, okay, give me time. I'll just refer. My brain does not have the capacity. I'll just open the book, read it, and tell you all the time. I'm like, okay, जब धीरे धीरे करके याद होंगे, that's why I sometimes feel like there's a lot to remember as you were talking now. There's so much to
True.
remember, so much to keep in head. I don't know how these rishis were
And,
so
and, and one
well
more thing,
versed.
like while I was studying, I started learning nakshatra in July.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did when I was reading out the books, I've taken multiple books, like seven, eight books,
Mm-hmm.
and then what different authors have mentioned in the
Mm-hmm.
nakshatras, how they have predicted
Mm-hmm.
the nakshatras, and then while studying, and what I've done, I've made a small group of people so that we
Mm-hmm.
can exchange the ideas, we can
Yeah,
apply it. Practically on the different charts, if that dictum is
yeah.
working, if that particular point is working or not, that while going through the nakshatras, there are lot many things which I have missed out.
Mm-hmm.
And not every nakshatra works similar for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It makes a difference. And when it comes to Navmansh and other Varga charts,
Mm-hmm.
my first teacher who actually taught me the Rashis, the one who initiated me into astrology, I was having conversation with him. So he suggested, so just whenever you're looking to any Varga chart, do not forget to look to the nakshatra rising in the lagna of that Varga chart. And I'm like, what is this? I never considered this. I always look to the Rashis, how Navmansha and how
But
different Vargas are going ahead in the Rashis. Like, kitna Rashis aage ja raha hai.
I, yeah, because I have this thing, and it is, I think it's my thing only. I have found one more person till now, right? I have been researching this and I have found one more person who believes the way I believe. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, there's some validation that I'm getting. That Varga charts are not charts. So Vargs are Vargs, right?
Hmm.
And this is one thing that I'm trying to push to people. So when I'm taking master classes, I tell to all the students that are in the class, you see, Varga charts, do not look at them as charts. Okay, do not make Navmansh into box and the chart, right? So why? Because practically they cannot exist. The Varga chart practically cannot exist. After a certain number, Rahu and Ketu comes इकट्ठे in one
Hmm.
house,
Hmm.
right?
Correct.
In D8 as well, Rahu comes,
Yes.
right? And D8 तो exist नहीं करता, but like there are multiple charts में Rahu Ketu एक साथ आते हैं, which
Hmm.
practically cannot happen, right? So let's say when you were born at the sunrise. Sun will be in the
Hmm.
east in the first
Lagna.
house, right?
Hmm.
Right. And let's say you are born in Purnima, so moon will be in the west on the seventh house, in the
Opposite.
seventh
Huh,
house, right?
seventh house. Seventh house.
Right. Now there's a possibility in a Varg chart that moon and sun will come into the same house.
Together.
There's a
Hmm.
possibility the same Varg में हो सकते हैं. But practically, it cannot happen because you are born on Purnima, Sun and Moon have to be in opposite. But in a Varg chart, you are born in Amavas. So when are you born? Purnima or Amavas? In reality, you are
Purnima.
born on Purnima.
Purnima.
Exactly.
Correct.
In
Correct.
reality. So that is one of the answer to this thing. Ke why Varg charts cannot be charts? Because then you are
Hmm.
changing the planet, you are picking up the planets from where they are, and you are trying to push them around कि यहाँ होंगे.
Hmm.
And the thing is, if you read the classics, there's nowhere mention of any house or conjunctions in the Vargs. So they're
Hmm.
always talking about the Rashi
I do
of the
not
Vargs,
consider houses.
right?
Like I
Every
consider like which
yeah,
Navmansha it's
e-
going, which Dashmansha is going, which at
yes,
which point, like if it is
yes,
like suppose Mars is sitting in Aries and moving in the fifth Navmansha, so it's carrying the energy of fifth house or
yes.
learning. The purpose of
I
Mars is to give you
yeah.
learning and higher can initiate into
So
mantra or
fifth. So, but then that has another drawback that Navmansh will only have nine Navmansh, like right.
yeah, no,
So
no,
you can
that this is
only
for
get till
different,
nine.
different. Like if we take the D10 as well, there also
Hmm.
my way of interpreting things. It's more like in which Dashmansha the planet is going. Is it like sixth
Yes,
position or it's
because that is
eighth
important.
position, fifth position?
Yes, that is important because there are yogs which talk about that, like in kids, right? कि पंचमेश और नवमेश कौन से नवमांश या कौन से नंबर के नवमांश
उसमें
में है
जा रहे हैं
सप्तमांश में
वहां
है.
पे
That
एग्जैक्टली
is the
इफ दे आर
number of
फ्रूटफुल और
kids.
नॉट.
That is the number of kids you will have, right? That is I think that is a good thing, but it can I don't know if it can be applied in every chart, like in every Navmansh, Dashmansh, and all of that. But that's a very good point that you have presented because it is used. It is already used in the classics. But what I see people doing a Navmansh reading, like a Navmansh as a chart, they forget the Lagna and look at the Navmansh, and then they are like, okay, this house, this conjunction, this aspect, and all that thing, right? Which cannot technically happen. You cannot have an aspect in Navmansh. Surya जब
No,
वहां पर है
correct,
तो it
correct.
will
There is
only
none.
aspect the seventh, right? So in
Hmm.
Navmansh you have put Surya, let's in Dasham, 10th house. Then you have started aspecting the fourth house as well, right? When it in reality cannot.
Hmm.
So that is why I've seen people using Navmansh, Dashmansh or any other divisional as charts जहाँ पे वो conjunctions बना देते हैं, जहाँ पर वो aspects बना देते हैं, जहाँ पे वो उनको houses create करना start कर देते हैं, and then they come to conclusions as well कि आपका नवमांश में सेवेंथ हाउस में शनि है, then it's a problematic thing. राइट
Hmm.
वेर एज आपका शनि लग्न में थर्ड हाउस में बैठा हुआ है, सेवेंथ हाउस का कोई लेना देना नहीं है, राइट? अपार्ट फ्रॉम द ट्राइन, बट लाइक थर्ड हाउस का
Hmm.
कोई लेना देना नहीं है सेवेंथ हाउस से. देन इट बिकम्स अ थिंग कि हाँ पीपल विल जंप टू कंक्लूजंस विदाउट इवन यू नो कंसिडरिंग कि वो तो पॉसिबिलिटी ही नहीं है, right? So that is one thing that I have a very strong qualm against. Okay, why do people do that? Right? This is one of the major thing, and one more thing that I think I've like pushed a lot in my videos these days.
Hmm.
Okay, checking Dashmansh D10 for career. I
Hmm.
have a thing against it now. Okay,
Hmm.
D10 for career BPHS. He has mentioned specifically, like very specifically, D9 for career in the full-on chapter dedicated to it. कि
Hmm.
D9 career के लिए कैसे use करना है, right? He has mentioned that. And D10 के लिए he has mentioned महत्व काम, like महत्वपूर्ण काम, any महत्वपूर्ण काम, any work
Important
of
work.
importance.
Hmm.
Yes. So important work can be anything, right? Your health can be important at a point,
Hmm.
right? Your building of a house can be important at a
Hmm.
particular time. So you are doing something important. So that can shift from time to time, right? Or something important as in what are you known for particularly. So you are, let's say, a diplomat. You are going to a different country. That can be an important work to, have a conversation with
I
some other
found like
diplomat.
one thing similar or common in maximum charts while interpreting D10. Because
Hmm, hmm,
always I
hmm,
look into D10 while, looking if somebody is coming for professional reading or want to understand more about career path.
hmm,
One is not having job or left the
hmm.
job. Generally, their D10 eighth
Yeah.
house get activate. I mean, the dasha, antardasha, or pratyan,
Yeah, but
specifically antardasha or dasha
hmm,
rise. Obviously, dasha it's a big uh, time
hmm.
span, right?
उसके बाद हाँ
ऐसा तो
इम्पैक्ट
नहीं
कम
होगा
हो
कि
जाता
पूरे
है.
20 साल आदमी काम
या
नहीं करेगा अगर शुक्र की दशा चल रही है. But
हाँ
particularly if Venus is sitting
एग्जैक्टली
in
एग्जैक्टली.
eighth house, then person probably get into research related work or something which is which comes under the domain of eighth house. occult research or technical
Hmm.
analysis, your petrol,
Hmm.
this digging out things. So and
Yeah.
when there's a circuit which activates with 6 8 in D10, generally people leave their job. Either like transfer happen
Okay.
or they left the job. I mean, you can
Hmm.
give a try while looking in the chart for the research purpose. You might
Yes,
find
I
it.
will because I have like a because over time we've been the career reports, so we have a lot of career charts with me, specifically just for career only, the details
Huh.
of that. But what I think, what my I would not do that analysis because obviously I don't consider houses. So
Hmm.
D10 may I will not see. I will, you know what I have started doing? I don't even open the charts. So I go
Hmm.
into work table directly. So that
Hmm.
I'm not confused कि वो 10th है 8th house है कौन सा, right?
Huh.
So I will not look into D10 में 8th house or 6th house, right? That I won't do. But yeah, this thing as you're talking, this can give us an insight because D3 में we look at the 23rd, 22nd rekan, right? That is
Hmm.
the 8th house का first rekan. So
Hmm.
there is a counting going on. Not the houses, but there's a counting going on,
Counting.
which we
Hmm.
again see in D7, maybe fifth ka which number of Saptamansh, right? Which
Hmm.
number of Navmansh. So
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
counting going on. Rishis were counting, but not using it as houses,
Hmm.
right? So maybe the D10 का 8th house में कौन से वाले number पर there must be a particular number the counting. We
Hmm.
have to count from Lagna and come to a conclusion कि इस वाले में है then they must be leaving.
Okay.
राइट मे बी
Hmm.
ट्राई दैट दैट्स लाइक जैसे फूड फॉर थॉट तो
Hmm. Hmm.
7
Hmm.
हो गए तो 70 प्लस 70 के बाद 80 तक 70 और 80 के बीच में जितने भी हैं उनमें से सम पर्टिकुलर वाले में अगर
वहां पे
प्लैनेट
प्रॉब्लम होगा.
गोस तो
Hmm.
वहां पे प्रॉब्लम होगा देन वी कैन डू अ रिसर्च ऑन दिस
Research on it. Yeah, yeah,
यस
correct, correct. And like
राइट
how
बिकॉज द
like
होल
this dasha work, जैसे अभी हम we are talking
हम्म
about dasha only, कि eighth house का dasha आ रहा है. So
या
uh, generally like D1 is the foremost chart. There are the different points given to the
हम्म
different charts in Parashar. I mean, they have mentioned the itna
हम्म
points will be given to this chart, and then D60 को
हम्म
itna point जाएगा उतना जाएगा. When we look
while
into dasha,
calculating
yeah,
sharp right
Shadwell. So there are the different dashas as well. Not
yeah
Vimshotri is like very overly hyped dasha.
yeah
Everyone use
yeah
Vimshotri, but they
yeah.
don't know how to use Vimshotri.
You know
So,
what
huh,
I will, I cannot, I love this point, right? I love this point so much. Vimshotri Dasha has corrupted astrology to the point where people have started associating nakshatra to planets in
huh,
such a wrong way. I sometimes like, please, मेरे सामने बात मत करो. When they'll be like, कि, uh, Ashwini Nakshatra associated with Ketu. Ashwini
huh,
Nakshatra का Lord is Ketu.
hmm.
And Ashwini Nakshatra में Surya gets exalted, right? So Ketu and Surya are friends. I'm like, कहाँ से आ रही है ये information? Who is the one who is
Ketu
telling you all of
Surya
this?
not
Why
friend.
are
I
you
mean,
saying?
obviously, like it is associated, but then it get
I
exalted
have I have
not because
heard this.
Ketu is there.
Literally, I no, I have heard. That's one thing. I've heard this from an astrologer, very proficient astrologer, saying this line.
Huh,
कि अश्विनी नक्षत्र का लॉर्ड केतु है एंड सूर्य अश्विनी नक्षत्र में एग्जॉल्ट होता है देन केतु एंड सूर्य हैज अ वेरी इंटीमेट रिलेशनशिप दे विल व्हेन दे आर एक्टिंग टुगेदर दे विल डू गुड आई एम लाइक यू आर अ प्रोफेशनल एस्ट्रोलॉजर यू शुड नॉट से दिस थिंग्स इफ यू आर सेइंग कि हाँ केतु एंड सूर्य का उन्होंने आप रिलेशन बना दिया फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल व्हाट माय इशू इज पीपल डोंट रीड चैप्टर्स ऑफ दशा ठीक है
hmm, hmm,
केतु इज नॉट द लॉर्ड ऑफ अश्विनी नक्षत्र ठीक है Ketu is assigned Ashwin Nakshatra for the sake of Vimshotri Dasha only.
hmm.
अष्टोत्तरी दशा में केतु को कोई नक्षत्र नहीं दिया तो क्या मतलब केतु इज नॉट दी
Exist नहीं करता.
लॉर्ड एग्जैक्टली तो उसका तो कोई नक्षत्र नहीं दिया ना तो इट्स लाइक अ वेरी दशा स्पेसिफिक कि इस दशा में if you are looking into Vimshotri Dasha then Ketu is assigned this nakshatra it is not the
Hmm.
lord of this nakshatra which people misunderstand a lot
लॉर्ड नहीं
like
इसको रूलर कह सकते हैं, द वन हु इज
ruler भी
रूलिंग
नहीं है
दैट.
ना it is
इट
not
इज
even ruling that
it is not ruling
it is
Ashwini. I mean, but the traits are similar. We cannot say it like
that is
when
the thing
Ashwini
that is the
Ashwini
thing
is
I'll tell you this is a
activated,
very
then Ketu Dasha starts. I mean, that
yes
is
see that is like yeah that is what I'll tell you this is the thing in modern astrology this is the one of the biggest mistakes when Ashwini nakshatra में आप पैदा हुए हैं then
हाँ
Ketu Dasha starts so what they
चल
are
रहा है. हाँ.
trying to do to figure out the starting point of Dasha
Okay.
just to figure out the starting point of dasha. Similarly, अगर कोई और दशा सिस्टम देखेंगे तो we'll figure out the starting point of dasha through some other method, right? तो starting point of dasha हमें figure out करना, right? That is why these are assigned, but they are not the rulers. And you will see these are like, you will find multiple mistakes in this when you are making a judgment based on the ruler of the nakshatra.
Yeah,
Whereas
I read
nakshatra,
seven, eight
Ashwini
books
guys,
on nakshatra, and in every book it is mentioned.
I did my research as well. I'll tell you. So all the modern astrologers, right, will write about it. But go back into the classics of nakshatra, you will
Okay.
only see Ashwini is ruled by Ashwini Kumars, right? And the
Okay.
Agni is given
Hmm.
as a deity, and
Hmm.
anything associated with them. Ashwini Kumars were the surgeons, right?
Hmm.
You will get all the association with surgery and all of that with Ashwini Kumars,
Hmm.
right?
True.
You will
True.
see that in a classical text. If a book is written, and I will give some points to an astrologer if they are saying this, okay, see, we are using Vimshottari Dasha. That's why we are assigning Ketu, and that's why we are trying to connect them. But none of the authors do that. None of the authors write. But one of the good things I have seen by Surendra S.C. Mishra, he has written, I think, Nakshatra Chintamani, I think that is the name of the book. In
Hmm.
that book, he has been very nice and generous about writing just about the nakshatra. And in the whole book, he has not mentioned planets anywhere. Believe that a book
Okay.
completely on nakshatra, not a single mention of planet. Now, how will that happen? He has written BPHS. He has
Hmm.
translated multiple books, right, in astrology. He knows, but he has in the book of Nakshatra, he has not mentioned planet anywhere.
Okay.
Then how
No,
come?
deities are there. Obviously, it is
Yes,
associated with the nakshatra, and the entire
yes,
story, entire predictions
yes,
that came out comes
yes.
from the deity and the symbols associated with the
Hmm.
nakshatra. Different things which, the
Yes,
span and all.
but look
Hmm.
into the chart. Look into the first book only. BPHS, if you have BPHS, you have two part one, right?
Hmm.
SC Mishra or Arthantaram. Look into the first book only, in which the last chapters are about dashas, right? And just compare all the dashas. After Vimshottari, there are Ashtotri, Shadashotri, and all of that. And there's a
Hmm.
table given
Hmm.
regarding nakshatra and planets. And you will see every dasha has different nakshatra associated with different planets. Ashwini, you will see sometime with Ketu, sometime with Buddha, sometime with Rahu, sometime with other planets. All other different planets you will
Okay.
see. And
That's
then
a
you
good food for thought.
that is the point when you will question कि अश्विन नक्षत्र को रूल कर कौन रहा है, and then you're like इनमें से कोई भी रूल नहीं कर रहा. Then you will see the shlok, and then you read the shlok, and then say for the sake of calculation of dasha, we are going to use Ashwini with Ketu, so that when you are born under Ashwini you get Ketu as your dasha. That is
Okay.
when it starts give you, and
So
then
that's
you go
particularly then associated with only Vimshotri Dasha, not with
Vimshottari,
anything else.
exactly. Yes. So if you are dealing with Vimshottari Dasha, right, then you can say only this thing that it starts from there. It
Hmm.
has no other impact but the starting,
Okay.
right? And one more thing that, and one another food for thought as we were talking about, the same planets, right? All the nine planets, they also have their deities,
Hmm.
right? So they are not the Surya Dev or Chandra Dev, right? Or
No,
Buddh
every
Dev,
planet have
Guru.
deity, correct. Like this Rahu, we
Yes,
have Durga.
yes. So they have their deities, and
Hmm.
that is the trait you will find with the planet the most,
Oh, okay.
right? And that is again one of the, it's the single line in the
And one more
starting
thing I
first,
have noticed,
second
like
chapter.
while doing the Dasha analysis,
Hmm.
that in Mula Nakshatra and in
Hmm.
Ashwini Nakshatra,
Hmm.
Ketu Dasha will act differently. It is not going
Okay.
to be similar.
Okay. Person born in Mool Nakshatra,
Ha.
like
I
the
mean,
Chandra
like
Nakshatra
someone,
is
like
that.
you'll find two people running under Ketu Dasha,
Okay.
but at the time of the Dasha, you'll see
Hmm.
both are born in different nakshatra, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And accordingly, different nakshatra dasha is running. For one, it
Hmm.
could be Mula nakshatra, which is
Hmm.
going around. For one, it could be Ashwini
Hmm.
nakshatra dasha. In both the cases, you'll find both the people having different kind of result from dashas.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense without even considering the nakshatra. I'll tell you how. Uh, why it makes sense is because nowadays people don't do that, but astrological chart is meant to be read with all seven planets into consideration. What we do, we take one planet, then read it, then try come to a conclusion. Then we take the second planet, we read that, we come to a conclusion. Whereas जब हम किसी भी चार्ट को देख रहे हैं, we have to take all the nine planets, seven planets and two Rahu Ketu at the same time into consideration. For example, I'll give you this example. Let's say you are looking at someone's partnership. What we look at the seventh house Lord, seventh house Lord Navmash Lord, right? Or the seventh house में कौन present है. We do that, we'll come to a conclusion. And let's say three planets are not associated, we leave them. कि छोड़ो.
Hmm.
Let's say Saturn or Mangal associate नहीं है, right? We leave them. Which is the biggest mistake? You still have, because they are in your chart, you have to consider the impact. You have to consider how they are going to impact the seventh house.
Hmm.
So every planet, while you're considering, let's say you're considering 10th house, you look at all the nine planets and see how they are impacting the 10th house or the 10th lord or the 10th at a given time. You cannot leave any planet behind, because the moment you leave any planet behind, you are creating two similar charts. The charts are different just because all nine planets are there. ठीक है. अगर आपने मंगल सेवेंथ में देखा है तो 1/12 ऑफ द जनता हैज मंगल इन 12th सेवेंथ,
True.
राइट. इफ यू ऐड अनदर प्लैनेट तो चार्ट थोड़ा डिफरेंट होता है, राइट. इफ यू ऐड थर्ड प्लैनेट तो चार्ट और डिफरेंट होता है. So when you add nine planets, that is when the chart becomes unique, right? उससे पहले
That's a
अगर आपने एक
unique
भी
because
planet
हाँ
चुन के,
वो सब लोगों का सिमिलर नहीं होगा ना.
exactly. So the only time when it becomes unique is when all the nine planets are taken into consideration. So अगर आपने एक भी planet मिस कर दिया, then you are saying something जो इस बंदे पर भी अप्लाई होगा, किसी और बंदे पर भी अप्लाई होगा.
Hmm.
अगर आप किसी को इस पर्टिकुलर पर्सन का चार्ट आपको इसकी यूनिक प्रेडिक्शन बतानी है, देन यू हैव टू टेक ऑल नाइन. दिस इज वन थिंग व्हिच मोस्ट कॉमनली पीपल फॉरगेट. आपने देखा मंगल 8th में प्रेजेंट है, ठीक है, तो आप कहोगे कि उनकी पार्टनर की लाइफ को इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है, राइट.
Hmm.
बट यू फॉरगॉट जुपिटर 7th में है या फिर बुध 11th में है, राइट. सन 12th में है. यू हैव टू कीप दैट ऑल इन टू कंसिडरेशन, write it down and then come to a conclusion. That is the most important thing which most of the astrologers don't come to. They'll see तीन चार planet है and let's
Hmm.
talk about them only. For work as well, look into work of someone, right? एक दो planet है, देखे आपने, and then rest तीन चार छोड़ दिए.
Hmm.
Will they not do something? Are they
Obviously, there
lost?
should be, multiple things which need to look around before
Or
giving one
make
statement.
sure, yes, make sure to always look at all the nine planets, every planet. If you think कि राहु और केतु चलो 10th से एसोसिएट नहीं, 10th और उस वाले एक्सेस में नहीं है, बट कौन से एक्सेस में है, वहां पर वो क्या कर रहे हैं और वहां से वो वर्क को कैसे एसोसिएट कर सकते हैं. सूर्य कहाँ पर है, यू आर लाइक सूर्य तो थर्ड हाउस में है, 10th तो कोई एसोसिएशन नहीं है, बट लाइक थर्ड हाउस में बैठ के सूर्य 10th को कैसे इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है. थर्ड हाउस में जब होता है तो सूर्य तो 10th पे क्या इम्पैक्ट होता है. You have to incorporate that. You have to
Hmm.
incorporate all nine. And because once you're doing that, ठीक है, that comes to the dasha wala part. Now you were talking about dasha having different parts. Now you will know कि केतु की दशा चल रही है किसी बंदे की, केतु 5th में प्रेजेंट है. Rest of the planets how they are impacting that केतु, whereas किसी का केतु दूसरे का 5th में प्रेजेंट है, बट उसके बाकी planets different लोकेशन पे होंगे.
Different, have a different, obviously.
So how they are going to impact ketu, and then the ketu dasha will act differently for both of them,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I mean that we look for the Antardasha. What is the placement of the Antardasha Lord from the
From the
Mahadasha Lord?
Mahadasha lords, yes.
That's how.
But
I mean,
from the
when
rest of them as well,
hmm,
from the rest of the remaining five planets as well, and Rahu Ketu, you have to look कि बाकियों से कहाँ present है, right?
hmm,
And then come to a conclusion, and you will always have a different answer for different chart, because हर किसी का different होता है.
true,
You will
true.
always you will look into someone's Guru Dasha, and you're like, okay, आपकी गुरु दशा ऐसी जाएगी. Stop there.
सबके लिए अच्छी नहीं
Think
जाती है वो. आई हैव सीन लॉट ऑफ
exactly.
पीपल हैविंग लॉट ऑफ ट्रबल इन गुरु दशा. आई मीन देयर
Gemini, Virgo.
सब कुछ खराब हो गया.
Gemini, Virgo, I think, and I like when I see a Gemini, Virgo, and they are going through Guru Dasha, I've seen कि अरे Guru Dasha start हो रही है. What should we say? How should we find the positives
I mean,
then?
my guru dasha is going to start from next year.
And you are which
I'm Virgo.
lagna? You have to find something. पता है majorly कहाँ पे problem आती है? Health पे.
Hmm.
Majorly health पे problem आती है. But see, it's a very faceted conclusion. Look at all the remaining eight planets. Look how they're impacting Guru, right? And then come to a conclusion कि गुरु की दशा overall में कैसे जाने वाली है. Never jump to a conclusion just by looking at one planet. That's like half of the information.
No, in
Half
fact,
भी
like
क्यों?
when
One
when
tenth,
it
one
is
ninth
mentioned
something.
in books, when I look into Dasha chapters in the
Hmm.
BPHS and the different
Yeah.
books, they've mentioned about
Hmm.
Dasha. You see, they've given the general
Ideas.
information, general idea,
Yes.
like कि राहु में मार्स का दशा जाएगा तो चोरी होगी, एक्सीडेंट हो
Hmm.
जाएगा.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
this is very generic. At the same point of time, not everything happened with everyone. You'll find
Yes.
people
I,
going through
and
the same
yes.
dasha, they might be doing wonderful, and at the
Yes.
same point of time, one might be going through a lot of trouble and miseries.
Yes. That
उसका
is where
एक्सीडेंट
the
हो जाए एक
astrologer
का नहीं
comes
हो रहा है.
in. Yeah, that is where the astrologer comes in. What is our job? To understand how they are different. So, you know what happens? As when we were kids, right? We were taught addition, and then in next class we were taught subtraction, right? In the next chapter we were taught division, and in another we'll taught multiplication. So
Hmm.
all are part of mathematics, but we are taught separately in early
Hmm.
days, right? But when you are preparing for IIT,
You
there's
have
an
to apply
equation
all
given. You have to apply all of them simultaneously.
at the
So
same point of time.
this is what is happening in the books. They have
Ah,
talked about Rahu Mangal alag se. They have talked about Mangal in 12th house alag se. They have talked about Shani in 5th house alag se. Everything. But when you are looking at chart, you combine the information and come to a conclusion. People forget to do that.
true.
You will see online, you'll see 10,000 astrologers talking about Mangal 7th में होगा तो ये होगा, 9th में गुरु होगा तो ये होगा. But they're never telling, see, this is one chapter only we're discussing. This is one topic we're discussing. Do not come to conclusion with this. Learn this,
Hmm.
will have the whole conclusion. And when you are applying it, use all the information. People,
Hmm.
many clients that come to me were like, मेरा तो राहु 10th में है, I should be good in this. मेरा तो राहु 3rd में, I should be winning over the world. क्यों नहीं जीत रहा? Why I'm not making great? I'm like, you are equipped with one, like you
One
just know
thought.
addition. Yes, you are just no addition, and you are here trying to solve, trying to build a rocket to go to moon with just knowing addition. You cannot just always use addition. You'll have to learn multiple equations, multiple concepts to build a rocket, right? So similarly, this is what people do. They just come to conclusion by just looking one planet. So that's why I tell
Hmm.
you, पूरा पहले सीखो, पूरा complete करो उसको. Then once you
And then
understand the whole
apply, then
concept,
jump into
then
C.
apply. Yes, then jump and be like, okay, now I know this. Then you will see कि अरे सिर्फ एक प्लान तो इम्पैक्ट कर ही नहीं सकता, सबका कुछ ना कुछ इम्पैक्ट होगा.
Hmm.
एंड देन उसके
Okay,
बाद
so like ऐसे when we look for the divorces, a lot of people come this these days like it's very common uh, that कुछ भी fight हो रहा है, then they talk about divorce, they'll come up to astrologer. Now you
या
look into the chart. There are struggle if you see in the chart. There you can see like some combinations are there in the chart, multiple combinations repeating.
या
I mean the same placement repeating in D9 and other segments as well. So in that case, when we give the sure short predictions, or I'll say, I mean, obviously the responsibility of astrology is to give the hope and to guide in the right manner. It should be like चाहे उसका नहीं होने वाला है, एस्ट्रोलॉजर ने बोल दिया तो उसके माइंड में थॉट आ गया कि हो जाएगा.
एग्जैक्टली दैट
अभी
हैपेंस.
अभी फिर उस केस के अंदर हाउ वी हैव टू लुक ओवर थिंग्स. आई मीन हाउ एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इज योर पर्सपेक्टिव. आई मीन जो दूसरे कर
फर्स्ट
रहे हैं वो तो कर ही रहे हैं.
यस
उनसे तो
यस
वी
यस
आर आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग टू those people.
या
I want to know your perspective as from the research point of view. What all points you consider for first marriage or for second marriage? What is your
ओके.
thought for, I mean, the multiple
So
marriages and all?
classically, classically, multiple marriages is considered good, right?
Okay,
किसी का
yes.
बहुत अच्छा
राजा महाराजा
Venus
के
है,
होते थे.
yes. So if you have Venus in 7th with Moon and all the good association, you'll have multiple wives. That is what
हाँ.
they've said, right? So it's not considered a bad yoke. But today, if someone has Venus in 7th, it will be considered bad yoke because multiple marriage है, right? Multiple partners होने वाले हैं. So negative was no marriage or marriage with a bad person or the death of the partner. That was considered negative earlier. That is Saturn, Mangal, Rahu, या फिर Sun का presence and 1/7 axis and all of that. ठीक है.
Hmm.
First of all, one thing that you said, how we come to a short conclusion. You cannot. Astrologers cannot. Astrologers are not meant to come to a short conclusion. right? As Rajyogs tell you possibilities, as bad yogs tell you potholes that you can maneuver, similarly, astrologers tell you possibilities, can guide you कि ऐसा टाइम आ सकता है, be prepared, keep your eyes, ears, all the senses
Hmm.
open, focus on your marriage, right? The time which might be difficult can come in front of you, right? You are headed towards it. Be open, right? And try to maneuver it possibly, like nicely, right? You cannot be like, अरे तुम्हारा divorce होगा. The only person you can tell कि तुम्हारा divorce होगा ही होगा is that person who's completely blind, right? Who's completely blind कि मेरे को नहीं पता क्या हो रहा है मेरी लाइफ में, बस हो रहा है, right? अब मेरे हाथ में कुछ नहीं है. उसका divorce होगा because they're not
I
making any
mean, the
effort.
one who don't want to put the efforts.
Yes, but as an astrologer, I always tell my clients, see, as an astrologer, I am just guiding you. Nothing is short. As long as you have effort, grit, like hard work you're doing, you're putting in, you can change whatever, you can maneuver around it. So the karma is pradhan, as a karma pradhan hai, right? Karma stands on the top, right? Below it, everything else, but karma is on the top. If you're working towards saving it, you will be able to save it. But yeah, as we see, where I see, I look at the planetary combination and see what is the most likely karma that can happen, right? If it's Rahu, stay away for some time, right? Stay away for some time, let the Rahu Dasha pass, and then come back together, right? If it's, let's say, Saturn, make rules. डू नॉट हैव एम्बिग्विटी कि अरे मुझे
Hmm.
अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, क्या अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, उसको कैसे इंप्रूव करें, टेल ऑल ऑफ दैट, गिव क्लैरिटी. देयर हैज टू बी रूल्स, देयर हैज टू बी सिस्टम, राइट? इफ इट इज मंगल, do not be aggressive and all of that. So we know the planetary reasons
Combinations
out,
and the
combination, and we know
traits.
what can be the reason for the separation.
Hmm.
Try to avoid that. Tell them, see, these are the most likely reasons that are coming your way, which can be the karan for your separation,
हाँ, okay.
right?
Hmm.
So make sure you don't do that, or if you have to do that, make sure you maneuver them nicely. If there's Budh present there, you're like, ज़्यादा दिमाग मत लगाओ, have a good communication, have an open communication, things will be fine.
Hmm.
Surya hai, keep your ego in check, right? Keep your ego in check. Do not be like, okay, me, I have to worry, what, nothing is happening to me, you are not doing this for me, I want this. Like, be like, okay, give some space to the other person, listen to them, okay, what do you want? Right? What is your view on this? Give them the chance, and you can maneuver it, right? People see मंगल सैटर्न का उसमें है, सेवेंथ में है, लाइक आपका डिवोर्स होने वाला है, या सिक्स को डाइवोर्स से एसोसिएट कर दिया कंप्लीटली. आई डोंट नो व्हाई सिक्स को
Hmm.
डाइवोर्स एसोसिएट कर रखा है, वेयर एज डाइवोर्स इज नॉट अ कॉन्सेप्ट इन एस्ट्रोलॉजी,
Hmm.
राइट? इन हिंदू सिस्टम देयर इज नो डाइवोर्स अ कॉन्सेप्ट. यू आर मैरिड, राइट? अगर आपने वो 7 स्टेप्स ले लिए हैं तो वो ले लिए हैं. Then there's no divorce. You can separate, right? The person either can die, or you can be in another person, other city, or you can be in another city. So one of the very good thing, that is a, I don't know if it works. Majorly I've seen it work, right? It's the observation right now. It's not a dictum. Divorce is equal to separation,
Hmm.
right? And if a person has such a dire consequences कि आपका तो होना ही है, so tell them
Just,
to be separated for some time,
and
right?
then when
Don't sign the
Dasha
paper.
comes, when
One
they
dasha
can
is
live
okay,
together.
then you can come back together because you are trying to do that. That's what the situation is कि आपको separate होना है. Then just like separate for some time, right? Don't talk, don't engage, phone फान पे मत बात करो. Just stay away, and when things come back, then you come back, because in that difficult times there is very minimum possibility that you are going to find someone else as well, because when you are
True.
not with someone, you are not meant to be with
Then
someone. It is not,
Dasha is not
yeah.
working out.
So
Definitely,
you
you'll
will
not
not
find
find
anyone.
someone, right? So, and when the time will come to find, then try to come back together, right? So in that time you can come back. So that is like a maneuvering. If you have that idea in your head that you want to save the marriage, if you don't want to save the marriage, if you want to separate, then it's in your hand. Yes, you can separate, you can sign the papers. I don't push them कि नहीं साथ रहना है. I ask them, do you want to or not? If you want to, then you can do these things. If you don't want to, then there's no, like, what am I doing here? Then
Yeah.
if you don't want to, then just
नहीं,
separate.
if they're coming कि कभी divorce होगा, give me the date.
Yeah, then we're like, okay, this is the worst time in your chart. This is the time which is like meant to put you apart. Then take this time. That is the time when it's going to push you apart. Then take that time and go. Right.
Hmm.
So I just tell them the possibilities. I don't give them the dictum कि तो होना ही है.
That's a good approach
Right.
actually. One should be like that only. I mean, it's
Yeah, but
important
I
to tell them that it is in your hand. You are the one who's having the
yes,
hold on your karma. It's not
yes,
me who's going to tell and then things will happen.
yes, will happen exactly. We can just
Eventually, you
give
have to
you
make
the,
the
we can
efforts.
give you the roadmap. कि कहाँ पर गड्ढे हैं, कहाँ
अभी
पर
जाना है नहीं जाना है,
इजी
दैट्स इन
से।
योर हैंड्स.
Yeah, exactly. So I never be like, I am not your marriage counselor. I am an
हम्म.
astrologer. I
हम्म.
can lay out the information in front of you. उसका क्या करना information है, that's in your hand. I will
हम्म.
not tell नहीं आपको marriage बना के रखनी चाहिए. What if they are in a very bad situation? Who am I to tell? How would I know? They might
True.
be facing a lot,
Okay.
right?
And like this no marriage yoga that you've mentioned,
No
that.
marriage yoga is, see, wait, the most difficult. It's not no marriage yoga. It's basically a difficult situation time period when you might not be able to associate with someone unless you change certain things. Why
Okay.
Mangal? Why Mangal is considered a problematic marriage because you are so energetic, right? It's not no marriage yoga. It's just that you have a lot of energy. So if you are able to control that energy or understand your energy, then you can definitely be with someone, right? Or like Surya, if you are able to give someone else equal importance, then you will be able to. If you are completely focused on yourself, then you might not be able to, accommodate anyone else in your life. So having that understanding. So there's nothing like no marriage joke. So we see Surya and Shani ka axis agar seventh and one mein ho, then it's a no marriage joke we consider, right? Or ke, Surya is between two planets, or the seventh lord is between two Surya and Mangal, या Surya Shani के बीच में
Hemmed
फंस जाए.
between two
Yeah,
malefic or
so that is
yes.
considered a no marriage joke in a
Hmm.
very, there's a very nice book. Again, I forgot the name. Uh, uh, शादी के विविध आयाम or विवाह के विविध आयाम by, I'll send you the name. I'll say the name of the books are slipping out of my mind. I'm not in my library actually. I'm in the new. It's
You
an empty
recently
empty
shifted.
room. Yes.
Okay,
So
got
I,
that.
at least otherwise I would be like, okay, this book. I'll pick out the books,
Uh,
right? But right now we shifted, so there are no books here. So yeah, they're like Vivah ke Vividayam. That's what the first word I'm forgetting. But yeah,
hmm.
this book, and it very nicely mentions the different classical yogs of no marriage or late marriage and everything. But yeah, it's just how you manage the energies, right? So planet Surya is not trying to keep you away, right?
Hmm.
So because Surya is not doing anything, it's just in this sky, in this space. ठीक है, वो कुछ आके तुम्हारे को प्रॉब्लम नहीं क्रिएट कर रहा है. फ्रॉम सूर्य वी कैन फिगर आउट कि प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. इट्स एन इंडिकेटर, राइट? एंड हमें इंडिकेट करता है कि सूर्य से क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकती हैं. So now we have a lot of information to maneuver. So now if you are giving value, if you are considering them, if you are keeping your ego in check, if you are keeping your temperament okay, then definitely you can have a partner. But that comes under compromise. People these days are like, okay, why should I compromise? That like that's like a different communication altogether. I might sound very rude here,
uh,
but people consider compromise as a bad thing these days. I don't consider compromise if it is done in a certain way a bad thing. But yeah, people consider compromising as a totally bad thing. They're like a very binary compromise is equal to bad. They don't see the
Nowadays,
multi-level.
it is. Nowadays, I mean, people
Yeah,
look at in a negative
yeah,
notion.
in just a very direct negative notion that compromise is equal to negative. There might be like a different colors to it, right? There
Hmm.
might different shades to it. So understanding that is more important.
And
But
what
yeah, that's
how does like activation work? Like suppose someone is getting married, their seventh house get activates. Then only the person is going to marry, right?
no,
So I mean, what is your call on that?
I don't
Uh,
think so. That's the case. So there's no activation happening, right?
hmm.
One of the most common thing that we hear कि अपन नवमांश activate होता है after you get married and all of that. That
Hmm.
people say that thing. Nothing like that. There's no activation happening. They all are all the time active when you are taking. So if you look into a chart of a person, you can see a yoga of their marriage at their age of 3, age of 5. And if you lived in the society, you might have gotten married at age of 5 or 3, बाल विवाह and all of that, right? It's not like अरे 1960s तक तो और या फिर उससे पहले तो बाल विवाह होते थे, तब तक तो चार्ट्स वर लाइक के प्लैनेट्स वर लाइक के बचपन में शादी वाले एक्टिवेट होते थे, अब लेट वाले एक्टिवेट हो रहे हैं, right? It's like
हाँ.
the all the planets and all the houses are all the time activated when you are making the karma, when you are doing the karma, that is when it happening, right?
Hmm.
So people say कि मेरी शादी क्यों नहीं हो रही है अभी. I'm like, you are not doing the karma, or you are doing the karma and maybe थोड़ा सा टाइम और रुक के दशा सपोर्टिव हो जाएगी then, right? But योग constantly बन रहे हैं. Even when you were a kid, you were born from the day one, your marriage yogs are there. So seventh house तब से activated है. So all the houses are activated at the same time. The moment you start working on something, right, you start achieving that. And that is when I say, कि when say, how can I become rich like Ambani's? Right? People have this question. Multiple people have this question. How can I become rich like
मैं
Ambani? So like,
मल्टी मिलेनियर या बिलेनियर कब बनूंगा, कैसे बनूंगा?
yes, yes, yes.
मेरी
So it's
कुंडली
more
में
like
योग
a
है
like है
इतना
कि नहीं.
पैसा कमाने के लिए। मैं
That's a
कितना
question,
पैसा
right?
कमा सकता हूँ?
Yeah, that's I'm like, okay, I cannot give you the number. First of all, that's not the part of astrology. You give you a
हाँ।
fixed number कि इतने रुपए आएंगे आपके पास. But yeah, if you're working towards that, if you have that as your focus, then you can. Right? Every planet, because all the time, all the nine planets, like seven planets, okay, they all are active at all the time. All the houses are active. In which direction are you working, and which energies are like how you are, directing yourself. As we talked about seventh house में सूर्य मंगल को कैसे कंट्रोल करना है, and how to do that. Similarly 11th and second house को देखो, 11th में कौन सा प्लैनेट प्रेजेंट है, do more of that. और हाउस का लॉर्ड कौन है, या फिर उसका नवमांश लॉर्ड कौन है, होरा लॉर्ड कौन है, then do more of that kind of trait things. Similarly second house का कौन है, do more of that kind of traits वाली things, right? And you will be closer to your money. Let's say आपका 11th is ruled by Jupiter, and वहाँ पे Jupiter present है, so more of Jupiter associated things you do, and you will start seeing growth in your money, right?
हम्म।
So
ओके।
एक्टिवेट तो वो भी बचपन से ही है, पैसे का योग भी.
हम नहीं कर रहे हैं बस मेहनत।
हम नहीं कर रहे हैं बस,
हम नहीं कर
एग्जैक्टली.
रहे हैं
सो
मेहनत।
या देयर आर पीपल हु कम वेरी स्टक अप कि मेरे को तो गवर्नमेंट जॉब ही चाहिए, आई वांट टू बिकम सिविल सर्वेंट. इन वेयर एज उनके चार्ट में दे आर लाइक, ओके, यू कैन डू अदर थिंग्स विच विल प्रोवाइड यू मच मोर, मनी, लॉट मोर मनी. पर
हम्म।
देयर नहीं, हमें वही करना है.
No,
So
that's
then
true
do.
actually. At least it this come true in my case too. I have like moon in being the lord of 11th house sitting in ninth house exalted. The
Hmm.
moment I entered into teaching online
Yeah,
on
yeah,
community, when I started earning.
yeah. So this is once you understand, and then you continue it and amplify that thing more and more and more. Moon hai, be more person oriented, be more
Hmm.
like, bitch जाने वाला kind of a thing. Be mother to them, mother
Hmm.
to people. Okay, I'll tell you, right? And then you see, it will just keep on growing and growing and growing. So
True,
that is when
true.
people you have to answer. Okay, when you once you want to become multimillionaire, this is your way. But people don't want to do that. I've seen they are like,
Yeah, I mean they
नहीं,
have
I
to
don't
pick
want to
up
do.
the trait of the lord of that particular house. That's what
Yes,
we can say.
trade or like understand. So it's not just the Lord, the Navmash Lord, the Hora Lord, the D10 Lord, the like all the सबका
So
common
what is more
accumulation करके.
important? I mean, on that part, the one which is the lord or the one the planet which is sitting there in that space?
Always the Lord. That is a very defined answer. Always the Lord is the most important. The planet
Hmm.
sitting is the least important.
Okay, the planet
Like
which is there is the least important. Okay.
least important.
Other
Tenth
like
house में कौन सा
I
planet है?
this what is my approach is I always look for the space, then Rashi and where the Lord is going and which planet is sitting there comes in the last part.
हाँ.
That's how it
Yes, the
works
planet.
out.
अगर let's say if you are looking at the 11th house, so 11th house का lord कौन है? That is the most important. 11th हाउस का नवमांश लॉर्ड कौन है, राइट? या फिर
Mm-hmm.
वट एवर यू लुकिंग एट मनी, तो होरा लॉर्ड कौन है, D10 लॉर्ड
Mm.
कौन है, D60 लॉर्ड कौन है, 11th का. दोज बिकम वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. उस हाउस को कौन एस्पेक्ट कर रहा है, उस हाउस के लॉर्ड को कौन एस्पेक्ट कर रहा है. तो लेट्स से
Okay.
आपका अगर मून है, तो मून को कौन एस्पेक्ट कर रहा है.
Mars.
मून मून किस राशि में है, उसका
Hmm.
लॉर्ड,
Okay.
राइट? सो मून इज इन वीनस की
That's
राशि
like
इन
you're
your chart.
creating. Yeah, it is in Venus Rasi.
Yes. So
Venus is in 12th house.
Venus is more important. So Venus is
Okay.
more important,
To activate
right? The
moon.
dispositor. Yes, the dispositor, not activate. Activate to hai already.
Hmm. Hmm.
So for 11th house analysis, the dispositor is very important, right?
For 11th
Because
house
D9
Lord.
Lord,
Hmm.
yes, 11th house का तो moon का dispositor is Venus. So Venus become very important. Moon का navmansh lord, that is also dispositor, that becomes very important. So that is how you see the dispositors and lords are more important, and it's a direct line written in BPHS in
Hmm.
the Raj Yog chapter. कि
Hmm.
always see कि जो भी planet देख रहे हो उसकी lordship कौन कौन सी है, is it a good house lordship or bad house lordship, that is going to decide the Raj Yog.
Okay.
So the lordship of the house becomes very important here,
Hmm.
and the dispositors are extremely important.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if you see, when certain things happen, the timing of an event is primarily based on a dispositor. So
True.
let's say when will you get money is when Jupiter transits over your Venus. because it is dispositor of 11th house, right? The
Okay.
transit of Jupiter over Venus is going to give you money. So when is the Shadi happening? The dispositor of the seventh house, when Jupiter transits over that. But the dispositor is also very, very important.
Hmm. Okay.
So
True.
that is the yeah, that is a direct line written in most of the classics. कि उन्होंने directly mention किया है, but yeah, we forget to because we are so stuck upon the dashas,
Hmm.
right? Or the placement of planets. So most of the new astrologers they go to the placement of the planet,
Placement, and then they look
right?
to the dashas. I mean, this see these are the
Yes,
what we are
uh-huh.
talking. This is more of an
Mhm.
advanced thing, though it need
Yeah,
to be
after
considered
spending time.
before, before giving.
Yeah.
One is not aware about the planet, one is not aware about the
Mm.
attributes of the planet, how one can
Yes,
give the judgment of the planet placed in different position from the Shah Lord or from the house Lord. I mean, for that one
exactly.
need to clear the basics first,
Yes,
right? So
that is the
new
very
astrologers,
necessary.
they're more into clearing the basics first and then giving the prediction, and the
They are
prediction get
very
refined
quick.
slowly and steadily. It's
Yes, but this is
slight
one
slow.
thing. Is it just me who has seen this, or is it a very common thing? A new astrologers always predict better. जब नया नया start करते हैं, they always predict better. They always are
Yes.
like spot on
नो,
somehow.
ये राहु राहु की एज चल रही है ना ये,
Yeah,
तो इसलिए कह
this is
सकते
this
हैं.
is something. Yeah, this I think
हाँ.
maybe I don't know why Rahu K चल रही है, but this is a common thing that I have seen.
One last question. I mean, I've already
Yes.
taken up a lot of time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, no, it's fine.
uh,
It's fine.
yeah. So, like as we were discussing about the Vedic astrology, coming back to the
Mhm.
different branches of astrology,
Hmm.
like that
Hmm.
different
Yeah.
rishis
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
given इतनी सारी धरोहर दी है,
They
BPHS
have,
है,
yeah.
Gemini है.
Everyone was supposed to. All the 18 rishis were supposed to write their own
They have given their own
sign tarana.
analysis, their own
Yes.
understanding of astrology, understanding of these planets.
Yeah.
So here, not everyone can do well into all these segments. I mean,
Hmm.
first, I would like to know your
Hmm.
understanding or difference between these modalities, different branches of astrology, and if someone want to initiate initially into one specific
Hmm.
segment, like one can do very well into Bhrigunandi Nadi, one can do very well into
Hmm.
BPHS, the Parashari. So how they can opt or can choose the segment where they want to move ahead, or obviously
Okay.
books ka you have already mentioned. And
Hmm.
before concluding this, I would want you to share the list of books so that
I
our
have a
viewers
list
can
of
buy.
books actually. I
uh,
have a list of books.
huh,
I have made a literally I made a document
hmm,
specifically for all the viewers that we had on Instagram, and I'll
hmm,
share
hmm,
that with you so you can add
hmm.
it in
The
uh,
description
the
section.
description. Yes, that can be very good because
Hmm,
that's
hmm,
an extensive list. But yeah, see, I would say if a person is trying to figure out which one works for them, it majorly depends on how they're starting, right? Or who is teaching them. If a person is very strongly into Gemini astrology and they become the teacher of a new student, right? The student will pick up Gemini astrology, right? Or if they are into Bhrigu Nandinadi, the student will start from there. So their mindset will
hmm,
always see Jupiter ka progression, right? Will always start from there. So I will say technically the easiest method is to start from Parashari only, right? That is the easiest method because it
hmm,
is very, you'll find a lot of resource in that, right? Gemini ka bhi you'll get a lot of resource. Bhrigunandin Nadika, there is very less resource available. ठीक है
hmm,
बट पराशरी सिस्टम का बहुत ज्यादा रिसोर्स अवेलेबल है यू कैन गेट इनटू इट यू कैन रीड अबाउट इट मल्टीपल बुक्स मल्टीपल इंटरप्रिटेशंस you can compare your notes you can talk to anyone and they'll be majorly talking about that only
hmm.
once you get into Parashari and you keep on reading and you reach to the second book right and you will automatically be introduced to Gemini right? You don't even have
Okay.
to pick up another book, right? So BPHS has all the rules of Gemini astrology already inlaid into it, right? And then when you pick up Gemini, you see, Carrie, I've already read it, right? I've already finished it. So I think Gemini will become a part of your astrological journey automatically. You'll read about Karakansh, you'll read about Karaks and everything in BPHS only, right? And when you come to Bhrigu Nandinadi, you will find that you have already started that as well in Parashari,
Okay.
right? If you are reading it in detail, अच्छे से, you will see those methods of progression are already mentioned, but now they're extensively used differently. So the extensive usage is different, but the mention is already there. So I suggest start from uh, Rashtriya BPHS, right? Get into it. Read it, read it, read it. You will read multiple books as we're talking about Falsifika Sara, Jatak, Jatak, Parijat, and all of that. Keep on reading that simultaneously, right? Pick one topic, read it from all the books. Pick second topic,
Hmm.
read it from all the books. Right? Don't go like एक खत्म करी फिर दूसरी book start करी फिर खत्म करी तरी. Just pick, let's say, houses. Read from all the books. Rashis, read from all the books. Right? Planets, read from all the books. That is how you will be able to like, retain because वो revised भी
Retain.
होता रहेगा at least.
Hmm.
Right? And then you can reach to the end. And अपने आप I think BNN will come last में. Degunadi Nadi वो that will come in the end. But वो बहुत it will be fascinating. When you reach there, you will just enjoy. You're like, okay, मेरे को किसी और चीज़ की जरूरत नहीं है. It's making
मुझे बीएनएन
predictions
नहीं
like
करना
this.
है.
But no, I think people who have gone through Parashari system will not rely on BNN because once you start making notes while you are, analyzing charts, when you start making notes, you will not feel satisfied. मेरे साथ भी ऐसे ही हुआ था. When I started making notes earlier, I will start from Parashari. Then when I entered in the Gemini, I started using that as well. तो मैंने उसके भी notes बनाना start कर दिए. Then BNN, then I started making notes. So before a call with a client, I will spend almost an hour on their chart,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Spending on the chart and just reading. And I still do it. I still take 45 minutes on a chart before the call. I make all my notes because when I get into a call, I want to be prepared for whatever they're asking. Okay, I have made or I've read your chart in detail. I want to do that always. So I spend around 45 minutes into the chart that I know. Okay, I will mention the karakans, the atma karak, the lungs, the aruds and all. I mention in my notes. And then I be like, okay, I have all the information so that I feel confident. So this will happen if you've
Uh-huh.
gone through it. And then you know what's the best part about it? So no other astrologer can come and be like, तुमने ये miss कर दिया. You'll be like, no, I
हाँ.
have taken that into consideration.
You have
I have taken
considered
this into
each and every
consideration.
point, like which is
Yes.
there in the chart.
So
Lovely.
when people, if an astrologer comes to me and there we are having a consultation or we are having a discussion, usually they don't say कि अच्छा आपने ये miss कर दिया. I'm like, you know
हाँ.
what? I have not just missed this. I have
I mean, is it
incorporated
just
this
with me
and
or
this.
like with you as well? Most of the time, astrologers come to take the consultation.
They sometimes come, and I love those consultations actually
हाँ.
because then you know what? I don't have to explain them. I just tell
They're
this is happening. This is the thing.
self-explanatory.
This is
Yeah.
the thing.
Hmm.
Self-explanatory. I don't have to explain what does it mean. What does the fifth house mean? What does the seventh house mean? I'm like fifth में ये है, seventh में ये है. This is the rule. Just understand.
Easy. And not
Easy.
hard
I'm
to
like
make
देखो.
them understand. सही
Yes,
है.
I do this thing. I have my checklist. लग्न से check करना है, फिर moon से check करना है, फिर sun से check करना है, फिर आरूढ़ से check करना है, फिर कारकान से check करना है. Right? These five
हम्म.
I always do.
ये तो हाँ,
These
these are important.
ठीक है.
Whichever
हाँ.
is strong, उसका ज्यादा
Yes.
इफेक्ट आता है.
उसका इफेक्ट आता है बट आई मेक नोट्स ऑफ ऑल ऑफ दिस देन आई टेक दशा लग्न बिकॉज दशा
हम्म.
जो एक्टिवेटेड है उससे चेक करना है राइट वट एवर वी आर लुकिंग एट
हम्म.
देन आई ट्राई टू मेक sure that I have considering all the nine planets from every aspect.
Okay.
Okay, if we are looking at seventh house, all the nine planets into seventh house, all the nine planets into tenth house, we are making sure of that, right? Then the notes are extended and they are in detail. And then we go into if any specific that has to be done, or if any specific that has to be taken into consideration. Then Jupiter we have to consider,
हाँ, जुपिटर
or
इज अ
the
जीव
Karak,
कारक है.
yeah, or the Karak, like for example,
कारक है, वो
marriage has
जो
a
भी
Venus,
प्रॉब्लम लेके आ रहा है, देन यू कंसिडर दैट कारक.
uska Karak. So that
हम्म.
becomes a very extensive note. So you get a very clear picture what is happening with them. That is how
हम्म.
I go. I think that would be helpful.
That actually it actually it's not just for you, but then someone who's coming and having half baked
Yeah,
knowledge.
yeah. That's
They
the.
come with
I
half baked
think
knowledge usually.
I try
So
to educate
hmm.
them on this. Okay, whatever I know at least, because I believe strongly that this is not my created knowledge. I received it. I'm the channel. I'll give it.
Hmm.
So I always am like very open. Ask me anything. There's no secret that I'm holding in astrology. I have acquired it from somewhere. I must have read it somewhere or like
You're
gotten
just
it
a
from
Shanam.
somewhere.
You're passing that
Yes, so
knowledge.
I
Nice.
don't like try to keep it. This is a very secret thing. Don't tell it to anyone. I'm not going to tell. I'm like any secret that I know is like just take it from me. Spread it. Like I tell, take it from me and tell 10 more people.
It's good. वो ज्ञान बांटने से बढ़ता है.
Yes, it is necessary. It is necessary. You
Is
cannot hold
important. But
on to
nowadays,
knowledge.
like
Yes.
people hold their knowledge.
Gatekeeping. Yeah, they're
That
gatekeeping. Okay, I will not tell. This is some.
this is
You
like
ask
their
someone.
USP. They don't want to share
Yeah,
it because someone will know and then they can teach further. I mean, I don't know why people do that.
yeah. I
Uh,
am like, it's not my USP. I've read it from this book. This is the shah. This is the month. This is the shlok. Go read it. If you have different interpretation, read it, find it, tell me as well. If you have different interpretation, that is how like spread it.
great, great. It was literally a very good, healthy conversation, I'll say. I
Thank
spoke to a
you.
lot of
Thank you.
different people coming from different backgrounds. I love to have
Yeah.
conversation on such,
Yeah. That's my
it gives
that's
you
you
good
can see.
open thought, food for thought,
Yeah.
where you can do a lot more research
Exactly.
and understanding. So really love the
Thank you. I hope
conversation.
this.
And it is going
I
to help a
hope
lot
this
of
was good.
people. Yeah.
I hope they see they don't get bored with what I was saying, and I'm like, okay, don't get traumatized by, I have a lot of hot takes in
Uh,
astrology, right?
uh,
Which people are like, what is he saying? Why is he saying that? So I don't want people to get offended.
yeah,
So I
I
hope
mean,
that doesn't happen.
one should like open to understand and know the different perspective as well, and then have a look.
Yes,
And that's how, with orthodox approach, one cannot go further.
yes,
It's
we
just
have
like
to
वो है
keep
ना,
on like updating.
तालाब की मछली बन के रहना.
Like
समुद्र में
we
जाने के
need
लिए
to
आपको,
spread out.
हाँ, we have
Yes,
to
we need-
open our thought
yes,
process. We have to
damn right.
broaden our thought process. Lovely. So,
But yeah, I
yeah,
was just saying thank you so much, and I'm really grateful that we had this conversation, we had this chat. This is like I am really, I cannot believe myself, my luck that, eventually I'm able to connect to a lot of people. Eventually I'm able to connect to, people like you who are like so into astrology, who are intelligent, who are open
I know
about
you
it, who are
have to be
discussing.
prepared because definitely a lot of questions are going to come. And we have to
All
do
open for
another
that.
conversation on those questions.
I would
That's for
love
sure.
that. I would love that. I would love that. Conversation is something that I enjoy the most.
It
But like,
seems
I'm
like you
really,
have
really
a good,
grateful.
prominent Mercury in your chart, Mercury driven person.
In eighth house,
Lovely.
in eighth house in Gemini.
Yeah, I
So
got in
that's the
second
saving grace.
house. Yeah, so it is opposite to each other. That is why we are able to have a
Yeah.
good
So the thing is,
conversation.
this is one of the things that I've researched crazy. Please be like good. Please be good. Eighth house Mercury only in Gemini and Virgo. It's good. And I'm like,
Good, good, good. Definitely, I would love to take consultation from you. I have
you.
taken a
I
lot of.
don't think you
I
need.
mean,
I think
no,
you are
no.
proficient enough.
I'll tell you that that's a different thing. I've taken consultations from a lot of people. I got moon in ninth
Yeah.
house. Okay, and that exalted. I really love to have to take guidance from people, right, from
Mhm.
gurus and from astrological guidances. But I mean, this is something of what conversation we had so far in past 2 hours, more than 2 hours.
Mhm.
So I this is going to be a something eye opening or a different approach which you are going to follow, right? So far, I've taken the
Mhm.
consultation from people who are traditional astrologers or YouTube astrologers, you'll say, right? So
Yeah, I understand
I
that.
mean, it's not like I'll be looking ahead for something uh, extraordinary, which is not covered by people.
That's a lot of pressure. That's like the burden on my
Because see,
shoulders.
a
Okay.
lot of things I already know. Lot of things I
I
already
think you
know.
know
But then,
majorly most of the things. You know what
mhm.
happens with me in astrological predictions? First of all, I don't make predictions. I give guidances. And secondly, it gets boring because I don't because what happens is I don't bring, okay, this. People are like, you can make 600 predictions, 700 predictions just by looking at it. I'm like, I can make one or two max
I mean,
because I am
point is
considering
that
all the things.
combination is unique, right? So you have to give the one
When
single
I make
line
a
as
prediction,
well.
I
What is
try.
going to happen, or
Yes,
what is the possibility that
the
this is
high
going to
chance of
happen?
something
High chances
happening.
of
Yeah.
possibility. Everything
I
cannot
yeah.
happen in one go.
I understand. I try to one thing that I try to make sure that should say max one or two things, but they should be rock solid.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot because I've seen this thing in many astrologers. They are like, just by knowing this, you can make 10 predictions. Just by knowing this, you can make 15 predictions. I'm like, how many of them are actually correct? You can say 15 things, but how many of them are generic and how many of them are actually applicable to the person? So that is one thing when with predictions or with consultation, I might be saying just one or two things. But I will like with all the starting point that we discuss all these points okay, from
You will
this.
refine the predictions, I'll say.
Yeah, so I usually it just happens. Okay, one or two things we have discussed, and we have a call for an hour. But
Hmm.
in the end, you will take away one or two
Only
things
one or two things.
which are solid, which
I mean,
are
this
solid.
this this used to happen when I was in Astro Talk. So, uh, people used to, recharge their wallet for 1 hour and then connect to
हाँ
me, and then 10 मिनट के अंदर कंप्लीट हो गया. अभी मैम मैंने 1 घंटे का रिचार्ज किया. मैंने कहा अभी मैं क्या करूँ? 1 घंटे का रिचार्ज किया तो I cannot repeat the same thing in different language
yes,
again and again. I mean,
yes,
this is the question. This is my call on this.
yeah,
How does it make sense? I will say कि now इसका ये है, इसका ये, इसका ये. A lot of many
yeah,
things. You're coming with single question. Take your answer. What else I am going to, contribute in
yeah.
the conversation?
It happens. Once you have like sure, find a point, okay, this is the pinpoint. I've figured it out. Now this is correct in all my, knowledge and
Head.
all the
Uh,
yeah, from every reference that I have, this point is like hitting bang on. Then you say it, and I think that's more than enough to say because reaching that point took years of information, multiple books, right, to reach
mm,
that one single point. You can like start from 10 different points, but those 10 different ones are very loosely hanging there. Or one point that's like hitting exact, to the target. That I think is like, but like that is not glamorous. That's like,
mm-hmm.
अरे एक ही चीज बताइए
एक ही चीज बताइए. हाँ,
चीज
I mean, they're
बताइए
coming with the expectations कि
yes
बहुत कुछ जानने को मिलेगा, but इतना ही
yeah
बोला है.
एक ही चीज that happens. So, yeah, but yeah, we'll have a great conversation apart from this podcast. We'll have a great conversation, stay connected,
Hmm.
right? And
Sure.
this has been an amazing couple of hours. I enjoyed. I've even forgot that there are like painters outside painting the house.
Okay. Yeah,
So
दिवाली
yeah,
दिवाली की तैयारियां
no,
शुरू.
no, we've no, no. It's just we've moved into this new house. So the
So
owners
apart
of
from
this house,
astrology, like, are you into tech thing, or for you?
astrology, it has become my thing now. I have had multiple businesses before,
Huh.
but now
Hmm.
astrology has taken over, and I want to grow it to the point where I bring out the realities, where I take the fear out of astrology and make it
Hmm.
for people to accept it as the mathematical subject it is.
Yes.
I don't want to be like astrologer is equal to puja part. I don't want to have that. I want to bring out the modern side of astrology,
Which
the
dasha you are running currently, Devishat?
Jupiter, Saturn. Saturn is about
Oh,
to end.
okay.
I figured Saturn is great, and I figured how Saturn is great, and I actually experimented. That the mechanical side of mechanical engineer I am, that side of me. That I
Huh.
feel let's experiment. Let's experiment. So do one thing, stop it, then do again, then stop it, then do again, then stop it, then do, and then every time you're doing it, notice what is happening. Notice what is happening. So I've tried that, and I figured out the way Saturn works,
No,
at
I'd
least
say,
for
I mean, it's
for
the
fourth house.
best way of learning is to apply it on your own
Yes,
experiences.
yes,
How planet is
and
working for you, and I mean, what kind
mm,
of different results the planet is giving. I'll tell you,
yeah,
like in Rahu Ketu, I've started business. Generally, people, I mean, they either get into isolation or
avoid.
something like this.
Yeah.
So, it was horrible up to an extent that comes, hitting to the mind or some.
Mhm.
But I met a lot of people. I got Ketu in 10th house in the sign of Gemini,
Oh,
and
okay.
and had a lot of conversation with people, meeting people from different segments, a lot of business meetings, going out and all. And that was the time when I didn't earn single penny, but
Mhm.
कोई काम नहीं रुका. सारे काम हुआ.
You know what? You are confirming my belief of Ketu. This is like
Hmm.
confirmation to my belief of Ketu. Ketu wants attention, will
Hmm.
get all the attention, will meet a lot of people, right? But it is the planet of Jhoot Fareb and all of that. It does not provide you, but it loves that chamak dhamak and all of these things.
हाँ मतलब everything was there, chamak dhamak was there. I initiated business. That was the moment Ketu ends. I got to know that my partner, with whom like I started the business, he cheated on me and he registered the business with somebody else.
I knew it. You know what? I can, and this is one thing I tell. You know what? This is the right approach.
हाँ
Have you seen my Ketu video?
uh,
That is the video which went viral,
हाँ
right?
हाँ
That is where that is the reason why I am like actually like able to gather some following.
hmm
Ketu is about cheating
hmm
multiple times. I cannot tell you how many times I've had clients who said people, business partner cheated on them, partners, like life partners, girlfriend, boyfriend cheating on each other. I look into the chart every time they met them during the Ketu time period. Every time, right?
yes. And
And
in fact,
when
I
I
met my
specific
husband in Rahu Ketu. Not, I got married in Rahu Venus, but then I met
okay,
him in Rahu Ketu. I mean, the first conversation happened in Rahu Ketu, and after meeting him, this business thing, this happened. I lost my father in Rahu Ketu only. So, a lot of things happened which created a lot of
Ketu
trouble in my
is,
life.
yes, Ketu does that. And when people talk about Ketu is the planet of spirituality, I'm like, you know what, you have to read the classics. It is nowhere written Ketu is a planet of spirituality. And literally, I made a video and people were like, you don't know anything. These Shastras are not correct. I'm like, Shastras are not correct. How can Shastra be not correct?
I think that is like Saturn Ketu makes you detached from the karma, but
No, that is the
spirituality.
thing. That is a very beautiful thing. I'll tell you. Not right now. I think my
Hmm.
battery is almost gone. It's just 4%.
Huh.
So this is a good conversation we can have. Ketu has nothing to do with detachment. Nothing at all.
I
Ketu
would
has
love
nothing
to
to do
have
with
the
spiritual.
conversation again on the part of spirituality into astrology. How to look
Yes,
the
we'll have this. We'll
spirituality.
have. Yes,
Yeah.
we will. We will. And this is going to be very anticlimactic, where I'm going to tell you we cannot. We
Uh-huh.
cannot look into it. But I'll give you the reasons why we cannot. Right? Why astrology and spirituality are not combined. That people are
Mm-hmm.
trying hard to combine because spirituality sells. It makes a lot of money. But we'll have this conversation soon.
ठीक
Chalo,
ठीक है
thank
Divisht.
you.
It was
Thank you
really
so
really
much.
nice conversation with you.
Same
I
here.
mean, I
Same
really
here.
love
Same here.
people who can question. I mean, faith is important. It is,
Yeah.
but before that, one should know how to do the correct reasoning. Until unless you're not going to ask question, you will not able to find the answers.
Yeah, that is
And
the Tark,
question,
Tark,
yeah,
Vitark and all of that. I like that as well. But
same.
thank you so much for having me. It was really, really
No,
nice,
I
amazing. I'm
saw your first
grateful.
video and I was like, I have to talk to this guy.
So,
And what is
yeah,
this meaning of Vastrologer? Is it like
it's Vastu plus
Vast
astrology.
Vastu plus
No, no,
astrology?
Vastu plus astrology. So
That's
my
how
mother
you started.
does
Okay.
astrology, and my mother does was Vastu, and I was into astrology. So it was a gift for her, this
Hmm.
channel, that you can make
Okay.
Vastu videos, and I'll make astrology video. But then she got busy, and she did
Huh.
not make even a single video, and it just completely became astrology. But the
Oh,
name still Vastu and astrology, so
Vastu
astrologer.
astrology. Okay, okay,
Yes,
Vastrologer. Good,
yeah.
nice. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So fine.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Divisht. And let's connect
thank
again.
you. Sure.